What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story, but loved by a princess who would burn the world for him. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments, and also check the description box to original creator of this beautiful creation. I got you Naruto, Kakashi says with a smile, catching the blonde hero who has just defeated pain. I'm proud of you. Naruto is in no state to argue or resist help. He merely smiles back weakly. As they journey closer to the village, or what's left of it, congratulatory shouts from a large gathering of grateful villagers greet them. Naruto is stunned and overwhelmed. Words from his childhood bring a smile to his face. I'll be greater than the Hokage. I'll make everyone acknowledge me. I'll protect everyone. Remembering he was once a lonely kid shunned or mistreated by everyone to now being showered with gratitude, appreciation, and love feels surreal. I told everyone what happened, explains the little slug on Naruto's shoulder, bring him out of his musing. True, he already knows about her ability to relay messages to her counterparts much like how a radio does, but his mind is too exhausted and too overwhelmed with the scene before him to remember. As if having the whole village cheering on a guy isn't already showing appreciation enough, the villagers crowd around their savior. Some greeting him like he's a long-lost member of their family while others bringing their kids as if being in his presence will result in good fortune. Those who knows him watch from a distance. The Ma and Pa toads smile at the scene as memory of the late Jiraiya-chan and Minato flash before their eyes. Iruka remembers Naruto's lonely days at the academy and the striking difference to the love everyone feels for him now. Naruto-kun. Hinata is happy that he's okay and blushes as her lips involuntarily utter his name when she looks into his eyes. She gasps seeing him staring back at her. We need to talk, he mouths, to which she nods. Suddenly a glob of pink blocks his view. Not caring what that obnoxious color is, he tries to peer around it, but is interrupted by a punch to his guts. He turns to see Sakura, oh yeah, the pink hair, ranting, Naruto, that was stupid. You could have gotten hurt. She then embraces him and says, thank you. Among those in the crowd is the fire daimyo. A week ago, he received an urgent letter from Danzo for him to be present in the village for an emergency meeting. Danzo being the sender instead of Tsunade had him puzzled, which he is now analyzing after the nerve-wracking battle concludes. Flanking the daimyo is Nara Shikaku, head of the Junin assembly. I bet this emergency meeting has to do with selecting the Rokudame, or at least an acting Hokage, since Tsunadeheim is in a coma, the fire daimyo muses. What I don't get is how that old warhawk knew to send for me a week before, and why I didn't see any of his root agents assisting the fight or rescue efforts. The more he thinks about this, the more he hates where this is going. However, while looking at the crowd, a solution comes to him. May I have your attention, please? The Fire Lord raises his voice over their cheers. He still can't stop smiling at the young man's heroic efforts. His name's Naruto, isn't it? Just then, a root agent, Daimyo knows about the root emblem that tells them apart from regular Anbu. Appears and requests his and the Nara's presence to a meeting that the village advisors are having. Already? Shikaku quips while catching a glance from the Fire Lord. Stand down, Root. The daimyo orders, quite annoyed that his announcement has been interrupted. Villagers of Konoha. Daimyo turns his attention back to the crowd and continues his speech with charisma befitting a country leader. Even though today we lost our houses, our businesses, our schools, our buildings, we still have many things to count as blessings. We have the brave men and women who willingly put their lives on the line to protect all of us whom they hold dear. We have the will of fire that has been burning brightly since the founding of this village. And last but not least, we have our lives that make tomorrow possible. Daimyo's speech brings the villagers' cheers to another high. He waits until they calm down before continuing. As many of you know, the Godem Hokage used her chakra to heal everyone during the battle. She's now weakened to a comatose state, and the council is in sessions to select the Rokudame. The last part is news to everyone. After a few muttering, the crowd quiets and waits for the daimyo's next words with a bated breath. However, having just witnessed how our village's victory and morale have been shouldered by the strength and bravery of one fine heroic shinobi, daimyo continues. I believe such meeting would be pointless as I can think of no one better for the job, can you? Those in the village, shinobi and common villagers alike, look at each other with faces flashing through several emotions: confused, surprised, happy, and finally jubilation. Amidst their shouts, Naruto looks at Kakashi puzzled. What's going on, sensei? Kakashi lightly and warmly chuckles. You've just achieved your dream, Naruto, or should I say, the Rokudame Hokage. Me? Naruto-san, do you accept? Daimyo asks, to which Naruto nods, not trusting his voice box. Naruto, say something to the people, Shikamaru's father urges. Normally, you give your speech on your official inauguration, but with the massive rebuilding efforts ahead of us and the need to maintain morale and stability and the image of strength to our enemies and potential clients outside of the village, we cannot afford to wait another day without a leader. So, today will be both your nomination and inauguration all rolled into one. This will seal the deal, and Danzo will piss all over himself having his plans frustrated again. Yes, Naruto-san, please announce your acceptance as their Rokudame, Daimyo concurs, knowing what the Nara has in mind. Naruto, while not understanding the whole implications, too agrees. Raising his voice, he begins, the people of Konoha, Uzumaki Naruto accepts your nomination to be the Rokudame Hokage. I vow to serve and protect this precious village and its precious people. Konoha will rise from her ashes, stronger and better than before. Daimyo quickly adds in midst of the thundering cheers, people of Konoha, meet your Rokudame. Their thundering cheers roar even louder. You did it, Naruto. We believe in you. His friends want to congratulate Naruto with hugs and handshakes, but can only watch from a distance as the crowd gather around their cage and savior, collectively grab him, and toss him in air to celebrate. Daimyo sees the root agent fidgeting in the corner of his eyes. No, you're not going back to report anything to anyone until we're done here. Understood? To which he nodded, now follow my personal guard? He'll make sure you don't. Hi. The root nin reluctantly allows himself to be led away. XXXXXX. Some distance away Zetsu emerges from a tree branch to observe their celebration. I can believe Kyuubi defeated Pain, his white half states. I'm sure Madara has a backup plan ready, his black half counters. Let's go back then, the white half says as the two halves melt as one entity into the tree. As if almost instantly, the plant variant missing nin re-emerges from the ground at some distant location far away from Konoha at the Akatsuki hideout. After Zetsu reported of Pain's death and Conan's leaving, Madara ponders, I believe that'll be the last we see of Conan. I still can't believe that the Kyuubi brat messed up our plans and that Pain betrayed me. He was supposed to save that technique for me. We'll need more pawns in order to properly sync with Gedo Mizu. Zetsu asks, what about the eight-tailed? Kisame, you find the eight-tailed. Madara addresses the third member present. I have an Uchiha to tame. XXXXXX. Elsewhere in the Fire Country, the Cloud Trio continue their journey to Konoha. If there are a ton of cute girls in Konoha and they all fall for me, Omoi begins. Oh, I wonder what I should do. Just date them all. Date one at a time, or don't bother with any of them. Who gives a hoot? Mocks Karui. Maybe you'll finally find someone who don't mind all your faults. He volleys back. What did you say, punk? Karui shouts. Then she whispers more or less to herself, I wouldn't mind some rich, tall, popular hottie coming on to me. You never know. Nah, you're just overthinking things, Omoi teases with a straight face. It'll never happen. Karui becomes furious and throws a rock, which he manages to dodge. Who do you think you're messing with? Omoi then speculates about what would have happened if the rock she threw caused a chain of events resulting in an avalanche burying Konoha. What? Now, who's overthinking things? Karui yells back, but then freaks out when they come upon a destroyed Konoha. Karui, what have you done? Omoi is genuinely freaking out, looking at the completely leveled village before him. No way, I didn't do it on purpose. Did that little pebble really cause all this damage? Don't be ridiculous, Samui sighs. Even after years of being teammates, she still can't believe how idiotic they are. Let's find someone in charge. XXXXXX. Normally, Naruto, Daimyo explains to the newly appointed Rokudame as he leads an entourage of Kakashi, Sakura, and Shikaku to a tent, it's best to have your predecessor train you on how to of being a Hokage. Which is why we're here standing outside of Tsunade's tent. We need to find out about her condition. Entering the tent, they find Shizune faithfully attending to her mentor, bedridden and in her aged form with monitoring equipments and bags hooking up to her. Sakura informs those who don't know that Tsunade's been unconscious since protecting the village. She used her chakra to heal everyone. Her chakra exhaustion left her comatose. Daimyo asks, when do you think she'll wake up? Sakura defers the question to Shizune, who answers, I don't know. I've never seen her this bad before. She's had several chakra infusions already, but she barely has anything to show for them. Everyone watches on as Naruto walks closer to the weakened form of someone akin to family. He bends down and holds her hand, pressing it against his tear-glazed cheek. I'm sorry, Ba-chan. Naruto tries his best to control himself. I didn't get here soon enough. Sniffling, your necklace got damaged during the battle, but I broke its curse. Pausing, I'm now the next Hokage. Aren't you proud of me? And openly sobbing now, you gotta get better soon and show me how it's done, okay? Kakashi walks over to the young leader and puts his hand on the sobbing shoulders. Naruto, we have to go now. Believe in her as she believed in you. Naruto parts his Ba-chan and joins the fire daimyo out, leaving Sakura and Shizune behind. Once they are gone, the two medics notice a beeping noise from one of the monitoring equipments, seemingly answering the young man's pleading. The two smile at each other. Tsunade's vitals are looking up. Naruto sure is full of surprises. XXXXXX. Naruto, Shikaku, and the daimyo arrive at the council meeting together with their escorting root nen. Uzumaki Naruto, Koharu calls out the blonde when he enters the room. Thank you for saving our village, but unfortunately you're not allowed in this meeting. Actually, the Fire Lord next to Naruto speaks up. He's the very reason we're having this meeting. Fire Daimyo Dono, I'm sure you misunderstood me. I am grateful for what he's done for Konoha, but Koharu, you misunderstood me, Daimyo interrupts. He's the reason we're having this meeting because he's the new Hokage. What? Danzo, no longer stoic, stands and shouts uncharacteristically before calmly saying, that's not possible. This meeting hasn't even convened yet. Danzo-san, you got a problem with Naruto being the Hokage? Daimyo laces his question with anger. He did save the village after all. Plus, he's the son of the Yondaime. No surprised faces, Naruto notices as he ponders, so the council knew who's my father already? Well, Danzo teeters, he is young, lacking experience. The nomination, acceptance, and inauguration all happened at Ground Zero, performed and witnessed by the entire village. He's Konoha's choice, Daimyo explains. As well as mine. I'm not asking for your approval. I'm asking for your support of him in his new role. Homura asks, what say you, Shikaku of the Junin Assembly? We pledge our support. The alternative is unthinkable. The pineapple-haired Junin declares while stealing a glance at Danzo. The Sandame's former teammates look at each other before Koharu finally says, Homura and I pledge our full support as well. Contrary to popular belief, Koharu and Homura are not Danzo's cronies. At best, they are colleagues with many different opinions on how to run things and what are considered to be best for the village. Theirs is a love-hate relationship. Danzo? Daimyo asks. Danzo is staring intensely at Naruto with his lone unbandaged eye. He then turns his attention to the fire daimyo, but only to stare. He has worked so hard for this moment to come, his chance to finally take the mantle. He plotted to kill that damnable toad to keep the Kyuubi brat away, and now with the Heim weakened, his time has finally come. He won't have it thwarted by this brat. He'll have to use that jutsu. It's then that Naruto feels a spike of chakra coming from Danzo. Training in senjutsu has enhanced his ability to detect chakra activity. Without thinking through things, Naruto does the only thing he knows how best, getting in harm's way. No you don't. He flash steps to stand in front of the daimyo, blocking Danzo's line of direct view, readying for anything Danzo might try to harm the Fire Lord. Naruto feels a pull on his consciousness as he appears before Kyuubi in his mindscape. XXXXXX. What do you want, furball? Shouts Naruto, standing in his mindscape staring at his prisoner. He's still not happy that he has almost given in to the Biju during his battle with pain. Watch your tone, brat, Kyuubi shouts back. I'm not the one calling this meeting. Naruto looks around and sees a mortified Danzo, or a Visagev, standing next to him. What's he doing here? He must have used one of the mind-controlling techniques of the Sharingan, Kyuubi replies. There's one thing we can both agree we hate. That is the overpowered usage of those accursed eyes. Wait, how come he's just standing there? asks the Biju host. Can't he move or say something? Heh. It looks like his Sharingan is a transplant. Kyuubi's malicious sneerings are unnerving. Leave me, child. I'm going to have some fun venting against the Sharingan. As Naruto forcefully terminates the mindscape connection, he sees Kyuubi's chakra cloak pulling Danzo into the cage, having its way with him. XXXXXX. Naruto, what's going on? Kakashi asks several times, not getting a response. Mind-numbing, nail-curling screams still linger in his ears as Naruto now registers his surrounding in the council room. He winces when he sees Danzo foaming from his mouth, flopping out of his chair, and twitching in pain on the floor. Naruto walks over to the suffering body and pulls off the wrappings covering half of his face, exposing the transplant Sharingan before explaining, he tried to mind control the daimyo, but I got in the way. He ended up trapped in my mindscape where he became Kyuubi's plaything. Plaything? I thought Kyuubi is a he? Homura asks. He is, Naruto replies, leaving everyone shuddering at the mental images. Naruto pulls out a kunai and mercifully ended the Warhawk's pathetic existence. I know this puts him in a bad light, but he earnestly believed he acted in Konoha's best interest all his life. Thank you for being so kind to him, Hokage-sama, Kaharu says. Sure, Naruto says with his left hand bashfully patting the back of his head. Can you just call me Naruto? I don't think that'll do, Hokage-sama. Naruto turns to see Kakashi with a teasing smirk clearly formed under his mask. At 2, sensei? Sharing the laughter with everyone else, the daimyo bids his goodbye, setting to return to his palace. Hokage-sama, Homura grabs Naruto's attention, please stop by my place tonight. You need to be informed of all that's Konoha. Yes, please do, his teammate and friend chimes in. There's something about your father you should know. XXXXXX. There's something about my father I should know? Naruto keeps repeating himself after leaving the council room. For the life of him, he can't figure out what. It can't possibly be his name. Oh, that would suck, bad. Then, what? He has to put his thoughts on hold as he meets with the Junin Assembly and the business district of Konoha to organize a rebuilding efforts. Surprisingly, the civilian sector of the village is more than supportive of Naruto's leadership. The Junins too have lent their support and many comment on how natural of a leader Naruto proved to be, just like his father. Yamato-sensei, I'm putting you in charge of the entire reconstruction. The wave will be sending their support. With your Mokuton, the rebuilding will be done in no time. Yamato sweat drops and says, it's not that easy, but accepts nonetheless. Kakashi-sensei, you're in charge of reorganizing the Anbu. Gather all the root agents and inform them what happened to their leader. Tell them they are pardoned for all the crimes they've committed under Danzo as long as they provide written reports or mission documents of everything done under his order and that they renew their pledge of allegiance to Konoha. Any who refuses are to be sent to Ibiki before scheduling their execution. Hi, Hokage-sama, stop call me that. Naruto will do just nicely. Naruto grunts and rolls his eyes at the smiling Kakashi. He still can't get used to the honorifics, especially from Kakashi or any of his close friends. Actually, anyone for that matter. The newly appointed Hokage handles the rest of the tasks relatively well. He, unlike Tsunade, isn't afraid to delegate responsibilities and trusts in people's abilities. By the time he is finished, much of the normally routine village upkeepings and security-related missions are assigned to a handful of Junins as captains to lead their own respective assignments, while the remaining Junins are divided into providing assistance to the Junin captains, who are then responsible for recruiting Genins or Chunins. After tidying up the provisional monetary incentives for the businesses to remain and rebuild in Konoha, and successfully convincing them, Naruto dismisses everyone and plops into a chair for a much-deserved rest. He hasn't properly rested yet after that exhausting battle with pain, and needs it more than ever, especially after emotional high of being appointed as Rokudame and the high stress that goes with said office. Try as he does, he can't get settle his heart, not when every few seconds his mind replays Hinata declaring her love to him and receiving a fatal blow from pain. From there, it's easy to recall how Hinata has always been there for him since the academy, albeit she was shy, acted weird, and fainted frequently. Come to think of it, how are her injuries? The blonde says while rising to his feet. He stretches out his senses into the natural energy around him and easily finds her in Training Ground 10. XXXXXX. Hi, Hinata-chan. The blonde greets as he closes the distant to his blue-haired comrade who's in her own world resting on some timber. Oh, hi, Naruto-kun. The blushing Hyuga timidly greets her crush who's now sitting next to her. Both sit there awkwardly until Naruto asks, how are your injuries? Anyo, I'm okay. Sorry IW wasn't much help and added to your W worry. Hinata is very depressed about this. Is that why you're sitting here by yourself? Naruto asks reassuringly. Because you should know that you were a great help. What you said helped me find the strength to defeat him. Oh. Hinata looks shyly away from Naruto's compliment, but even more so by the fact that she virtually confessed her feelings to him. Is Naruto going to feel awkward about me now? Awkward about us? Will I lose our friendship and him being such a great source of encouragement to me? Hinata keeps asking herself those questions. She looks at Naruto only to find him staring into space, like his mind is somewhere far away from her. Then, her insecurities kick in. What if he still likes Sakura? Sakura is much stronger than I am. Why would he choose me? Meanwhile, with Naruto, he is having a conversation with his prisoner. You're just saying that to get in her panties. I did all the work. Kyuubi shouts in his mind. Not so, furball. Hinata-chan was great. If it wasn't for her, you would be Akatsuki's plaything by now, Naruto rebukes. Back in the real world, Naruto's face has a slight blush when he asks, did you mean what you said? Well, you know, that you. Naruto hesitates to complete it, that you. Well, you know. Yes, Hinata responds resolutely, albeit almost too quiet to be heard if Naruto hasn't sat so close. Oh, okay. Naruto the hyperactive loudmouth becomes lost for words. What is he supposed to say? I love you back. No, he doesn't know her like that. She's a friend, for sure, but a lover? You know, she isn't bad looking. Have you checked out her? Shut it furball, and stop looking at Hinata like that. Naruto shakes his head and forces himself out of the mindscape, annoyed at his perverted prisoner. I didn't know you feel that way about me, Naruto finally asks, since when? AC Academy, Hinata whispers. You were always so confident, and I was always so unsure of myself. I guess you inspired me. In the Chunin exam preliminaries, your encouragement helped me to develop my own Nindo. Your own Nindo? That's great Hinata. What is it? Hinata's sweat drops. She then shyly whispers, it's the same as yours. I'm sorry I didn't know you felt that way, Naruto replies weakly. Besides, it's not like a commoner like me had a chance with the Hyuga princess. I don't care about that, Hinata blurts out. Perhaps we can take things slow and get to know each other first, Naruto offers with his patented smile. That sounds good, Hinata shyly replies. By the way, I always wanted to ask, why did you faint and run a fever so much when you were younger? When Hinata's face turns red and her body emits heat, Naruto asks again, yeah, just like now. Hinata-chan, are you okay? Hinata mumbles an answer. What was that again? Her words are really too soft for him to hear. She takes a deep breath and shouts, I blushed and fainted because I liked you, but was too shy to do anything about it. Okay? Oh. Naruto and Hinata remain awkwardly silent again, stealing frequent glances at each other, until two familiar voices startle Naruto. Inari and Tazuna? I was hoping you'd be the ones to come. Yeah, it's us, replies a surprisingly sober Tazuna. The wave country is prosperous due to your help, so we're returning the favor. Hey grandpa, I think Nii-san was putting the moves on his girlfriend. Inari whispers out loud on purpose while winking at Naruto, much to the deepening of the blush on Hinata's face. How's a young boy like you know about putting the moves on a girl? Naruto asks. So, you admit she's your girlfriend? You go, bro, she's a hottie. Inari teases with a toothy grin. Naruto smiles sheepishly with a hand behind his head. He looks at Hinata, then Inari, and says, well, I haven't worked up the nerves to ask her yet. I think you just did, Naruto, Tazuna says with a wink. Just tell us who to report to so we can get started. Yamato's the head ninja for the reconstruction, and he's the guy with a wooden helmet ordering people around. Straight ahead. Come on Inari, let's leave the lovebirds alone. Silence follows the wave duo's departure. After mentally shutting down a dozen scenarios, Naruto finally says, do you want to grab some ramen with me? Yeah, Hinata's mesmerizing pearl eyes shyly looks into Naruto's enchanting cerulean blue. She smiles, too entranced to faint and too excited that her crush has returned her feeling to get nervous. I'd like that. They walk hand in hand to Naruto's favorite eatery, which, amazingly enough, survived the Akatsuki. XXXXXX. After that informal lunch date, Naruto returns to his makeshift office, which is a large tent erected near the vicinity of the rubble that used to be the Hokage Tower, to find 3 Kumo nins awaiting him. We're told to wait here for the Hokage. Karui looks over the blonde appreciatively. She plays with her ruddy hair as she asks, "Do you know where he is?" "Sheesh. Why are all Kumo girls infatuated with blondes?" asks Omoi. He then pensively adds, "Though he's handsome enough that even a guy like me might find him attractive." "Stop messing things up for me, you moron." Karui swings her sheathed sword at her teammate, who is also swinging his. "Stop it, you two." Samui yells as she moves in between them. But Naruto was faster, grabbing both weapons before they collide. Samui stands on one side, while Sai appears out of nowhere and stands on the other. "I'm the man you seek," Naruto announces. "And please refrain from attacking each other, or my Anbu," glancing at Sai, whom Naruto assumes Kakashi has assigned to him, "might take it as an attack against me." Samui apologies for them and hands him a letter from Raikage. About halfway reading, Naruto's hands shake, and the letter drifts out of his grip. "You positive it was Sasuke?" he asks. "Killer Bee was our sensei, so we made absolutely sure who took him." "Sasuke is now Akatsuki," Samui replies. "Memories of someone he used to, and perhaps still do a little, consider his best friend and rival flood his emotions." Naruto knows he has to declare Sasuke a missing nin, something that should have been done when the Teme left Konoha for Orochimaru. But a part of him still believed what he said to that traitor when they found him in the Snake Sanin's lairs. Can a person become a Hokage if he can't even rescue his friend? Naruto then recalls Sasuke's words that he never had any family connections, so he doesn't know that loss. Naruto remembers Jiraiya and how the loss of him to pain affected him. No wonder Sasuke said, "I didn't know what that loss is. Nothing I said would have worked that day." But now I understand how Sasuke felt and his want of revenge. While he keeps the three waiting, his memory lane takes him to his battle with pain earlier today. Only by sharing pain can you understand it. Naruto shakes his head, heavily weighed down by emotions, and says, "I'm sorry for what happened, but let's not jump to conclusions yet." Akatsuki captures Jinchurikis alive, so they extract the bijus from them. "There's a very good chance your sensei's still alive. Even if that is so, you still can't ignore the fact that Sasuke attacked our village and is now working for that criminal organization," Karui shouts. Just then, a Chunin barges in and hands him an urgent document calling forth a Kage's summit. Naruto looks up from the document into the distraught eyes of the Kumo trio. "Let me think it over, okay? Your Raikage will have his answer in 5 days at the summit." XXXXXX. Elsewhere, Team Hawk moves through a forest. As Sasuke rushes onwards, he remembers Itachi's words and his promise to kill the loved ones of anyone who rejects his way of life. "Konoha, you will pay for all my pains and sufferings." XXXXXX. Kaharu and Homura are neighbors living in the nicest district in Konoha, the one to which the Hyugas belong. It was early in the evening. Visiting here is Naruto's first time. What he sees, unfortunately, doesn't do the place justice, as most of what made it posh has been destroyed by pain, as has most of the village, although this part seems to withstand the damages better than others. The rebuilding work here, too, is better than most parts of Konoha. Naruto frowns on that. "No more class distinction, not since I now can do something about it." The newly appointed Hokage smiles as he sends a clone to Yamato, the acting rebuilding architect. Konoha will rise from the ashes better than before. A few knocks and a brief greeting. Homura ushers in his leader into his abode, where Kaharu is already waiting. "Naruto-sama, please," the boy interrupts, "if you must, only in public, but privately, Naruto will do just fine." The two elders smile. "Very well. Naruto." Homura places 5 scrolls on the table and continues, "There are several documents you must become familiar with. Each one details all the A and S ranked missions of the 5 previous Hokages. The smallest scroll is obviously the Yondaime's." Naruto fingers over those scrolls, lingering slightly longer on his father's. Is this the one that'll tell me something I didn't already know about my father? No, Koharu laughs and hands him a mid-sized chest with elaborate seal marks. Blood detection seal. Smear some of your blood on its center. Biting his thumb, Naruto does what he's told, and a glow warms the engraving over the lock, sounding off a pop. Reaching in, he grabs out 3 scrolls and a tri-pronged kunai. My dad's a genius, Naruto blurts out, after looking over the 3 scrolls from the chest. Looks like I'll be pulling an all-nighter learning this stuff. Already, he's got 5 clones going over the mission log scrolls from his predecessors. The scroll from the first Hokage and second Hokage bore him to death, since most of the names of people and places in their time don't exist today or are called something completely different. The details about the Uchihas catch his interest, especially his battle and rivalry with the Uchiha founder, Madara. The scrolls from 3rd, 4th, and 5th are easier for him to relate. He pays special attention to Itachi's missions and everything that had to do with the Kyuubi. He isn't expected to commit any of the scrolls to memory, but he needs to at least know what's in them to speak intelligently on village and ninja affairs. Naruto has set up camp on the top of the Hokage monument since his apartment, along with the rest of the Konoha, is still being rebuilt. He always thinks better here anyway. Plus, he can use the clearing behind him to train this late at night without disturbing anyone. The first of his father's 3 scrolls Naruto looks at is the one containing 20 of his parents' favorite jutsus, which will add nicely to his repertoire. Someone once told him that a Hokage needs to know over 1,000 jutsus, but quality over quantity, I always say. The young man then opens the scroll, quickly glancing over the jutsus, and frowns. Oh man, only 4 are food and jutsus. How am I going to learn Kaden, Doden, Raiden, and Suiden jutsus? Asks an exasperated Naruto. Naruto knows that while it is possible for ninja to learn jutsus outside his affinity, it is very difficult to do, and the jutsus outside his affinity are usually weaker in strength. Oh, wait, there's a note. If you take after me, you'll have a wind affinity, but don't let that deter you from learning jutsus from other elements. With the right fuin, you can do anything. Love, Dad. Looks like there's no avoiding this big scroll. Naruto comments about the largest scroll left by his father, the one on Fuinjutsu. It's even bigger than the forbidden scroll he was tricked into steal. Damn it, I bet I have to learn this one too before I can begin on the one about the Hiraishin. With a formed game plan, Naruto sends 100 clones to study the Fuinjutsu scroll. Then, he fishes his hand in the chest and produces a pair of wedding bands, diaries of his parents, and a handwritten letter addressed to him. He loops the necklace that used to host the chakra crystal of the first through the wedding bands so he can wear them close to his heart. The diaries he puts back for later, perhaps after the Cage Summit, but now, he somehow knows that he needs to use these few days to get stronger. The handwritten letter, he opens to read again. Our son Naruto, if you are reading this letter, then it means you've achieved what we'd hoped you would. A wish that we had unfairly imposed on you, but one that only you'll succeed, namely, to be recognized as the hero that you are for holding back the Kyuubi. It also means that you're old enough to understand why we had to make that difficult decision that fateful night. Please forgive us, and never doubt our affection for you. Reading this letter also means that the village is once again in trouble and in need of our help, which we are entrusting to you in those 3 scrolls. Learn the Fuinjutsu scroll first, but use it with great care and caution. With it you can overcome any opponent, but remember, its power, like all jutsus, comes with a price. Remember, son, we love you, we believe in you, and now, we will always be with you. Love, Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. Naruto puts the letter back in the box, more resolved than ever to shoulder the responsibilities that his appointment entails. Knowing he would probably suffer mental meltdown from the backlash of cramming so much learning hours from the clones into such a short period of time, Naruto makes 200 more clones to study the Jutsu scrolls and the Hiraishin. He knows that he won't be able to perform them yet, the elemental jutsus, because Naruto needs to know a special fuin that will allow him to perform jutsus of elements not his natural affinity, and the Hiraishin because it's seal-based, but that doesn't mean he can't get a head start on learning them until his mastery of the Fuinjutsu readies him. XXXXXX. Naruto. Naruto? The said person opens his eyes and registers a gradually clarifying image of the person waking him. Kakashi-sensei? What are you doing in my room? Your room? Kakashi asks with his signature U-eyed smile. Since when did you move your room to the top of the Hokage monument? But whatever Naruto-sama wants. I guess I passed out here sometime last night, or was it this morning? Naruto laughs embarrassingly as he drags himself out of his sleep. Sensei, Fuinjutsu is really hard, and I got a headache the size of AIM to prove it. Minato-sensei tried to teach me back then, but I only got the basics down. However, if anyone can do it, it's you. You're his son after all. Kakashi extends a hand to help Naruto onto his feet. Thanks for the vote of confidence. How's the root integration coming? Naruto asks as he rubs sleep out of his eyes and brushes the dirt off his clothes. Everyone signed on. Danzu's death nullified their secrecy seal, so nothing prevented them from full disclosure. I'll write up the report later, the Junin offers. Good. After that, I want you to work with Iruka-sensei on assigning missions while I prepare for the Cage Summit and until I get back. Naruto speaks with a commanding presence. Remember, we must maintain our image of strength before our clients, our allies, and especially our enemies. For Konoha, it's business as usual. Hi, Hokage-sama. This time the honorific rolls involuntarily off Kakashi's tongue. There's something about this Naruto that inspires a sama out of him. His growth must be from reading those historical scrolls on the previous Hokages. Naruto also is too in character to notice Kakashi's tongue slip. He continues, anything else to report? You probably noticed that I've assigned Sai as your personal guard, but according to him, you're much faster now, so he'll probably not be much of a help. Actually, now that you mentioned it, I need him to go back up Anko's hunt of Kabuto, commands the Rokudame. Get Kiba to go with you too. If you want, call him out, offers Kakashi, I'm sure he's nearby. Actually, he left to get Kiba already. Looks like he's still awkward around people. Naruto asks, anything else to report? Sakura got wind of Kumo's request. She may be seeking your audience soon, Kakashi regrettably informs, knowing this is a difficult topic for his students. So what do you plan to do with Sasuke? I don't really know yet. Naruto sighs, but I guess I better see her and just get it over with. There's still so much to do, and I really don't have time for any nonsense from her. Actually, if you order for him to be hunted as a missing nin, no one will blame you, Kakashi suggests. This will probably be the best course for Konoha, especially if we are to prevent further conflict with Kumo. I know, sensei, the blonde teen sighs, but it goes against what I believe. Deep down I still believe what I told the Teme when we found him in Orochimaru's hideout. After all, how can a person become the Hokage if he can't even save his friend? Naruto confides, I got a feeling that the true mastermind behind Akatsuki, Uchiha Madara, twisted Sasuke to fit his plans, just like he did Itachi. Madara? As in the one that fought the first? Kakashi asks in disbelief. Yeah, we've met him, too. He's the one with an orange one-hole mask who I can't land a hit on, Naruto explains. Him? So that's why he has the Sharingan, too, he's an Uchiha. But what do you mean, like he did Itachi? This came from the Sandame's mission records. Sometime after the Kyuubi attack, Itachi uncovered in his clan a plot for a coup d'état that was already years in the planning. Itachi suspected there was some interconnection between Kyuubi's attack and his clan's plot. After all, a Biju, even one as evil as Kyuubi, just doesn't attack a village randomly, unless it was summoned. Summoned? But who could have pulled that off? Kakashi asks. Itachi didn't know at the time. No one knew. Madara almost had everyone fooled into thinking Kyuubi did it on a whim. It wasn't until Dad told me when I went Kyuubi fighting pain. You talked to Sensei? Interrupts Kakashi. I guess there are things about his sealing technique we just don't know. Yeah, Dad told me that he suspects Madara to be the person behind the Kyuubi attack, continues Naruto. Kakashi nodding, he would have what it takes alright. So, the Sandame ordered an Uchiha genocide? No, Naruto answers with a saddened voice. Jiji ordered Itachi to kill all Uchiha ninja and spare the civilians and children not yet ninja, even if they were raised by ninja parents. That's more like the Sarutobi we know, but what went wrong? Danzo, Naruto replies. He changed the scroll without anyone's knowing. Itachi normally followed orders to the T, but he couldn't do it to his little brother. And, after the mission, Itachi became a missing nin? Naruto nodding, he was Jiraiya's Akatsuki informant for years. I will eventually restore Itachi's honor, but now's not the time. The young leader then turns and looks into Kakashi's uncovered eye with his steel blue ones. Needless to say, this conversation doesn't get repeated. Ever. Hi, Kakashi bows. What about Sasuke? Ero Sennin, Nagato, and my dad all said they believe in me to find a way to end violence. I don't think having Hunter Nins going after Sasuke is going to help, but it looks like I don't have a choice. His sins have become too much to overlook. Like I said, if you do decide that, no one will blame you, Kakashi repeats. Do you need help with Sakura? No, I need to do this alone. The blonde teen sounding much older as he heads toward where he senses Sakura. Kakashi looks at Naruto's departing form and the hard-working clones he's left behind. Some are practicing hand seals for several advanced food and jutsus, while others have gathered paper and ink to practice meticulous tracing of well-known fuins. With this many clones working at it, it'll only be a matter of time before he's finally learned them. Raise Konoha from her ashes, you say? Kakashi muses, smiling. Can't wait. XXXXXX. Hinata, have you seen Naruto? No, Sakura. The blue-haired teen is already waiting for her since her Bakugan training got interrupted by the pink-haired teen's incoming presence. Anyo. I'm sure he's busy running the village and such. Have you checked the command center tent? He's not there, and I figure since you two are dating now, you'd know where he is. She mumbles toward the end with her head slightly hung, perhaps slightly depressed. Begins Hinata, embarrassed and very insecure at the mentioning of her new relationship with Naruto by his former crush. News travels fast. You're okay with that, right? I guess I have no right not to be, Sakura admits, but you better hold on to him, 'cause I've heard there are plenty of girls lining up after you. After defeating Pain and becoming the Rokudame, your boyfriend's now Konoha's most eligible bachelor. I won't let him go, no matter what. Hinata almost has it out without stuttering. She then asks, Anyo, why are you looking for Naruto? I need to ask him about Sasuke-kun, Sakura replies. What will you do, Sakura? Hinata voices her concern. I heard Kumo's asking for his head. That's what I gotta ask Naruto about. I'm hoping it's just a rumor, and I'm sure Naruto won't do that since Sasuke's part of Team 7. Anyo, Sakura. It must be a hard decision for him to make. Hinata reasons, if he doesn't, will he risk war with Kumo? Yeah, I know. Sakura slumps her shoulders and plops to the floor, with Hinata joining to sit next to her. I'm so conflicted right now. Hey, you, Pinky with a huge forehead. A new female voice interrupts them. Tell me everything you know about Sasuke. It's Karui with her sword extended and unsheathed, inching closer to Sakura. Behind Karui stand her two Kumo teammates. Naruto, who's now close enough to see what's going on, speeds up to grab Omoi's short sword from behind and flash steps to knock Karui's katana away. As Naruto moves to strike Karui with his elbow, Omoi bends over and blocks the strike the hilt of his long sword. Naruto forms a cage bunshin to deal with Omoi, and Karui flips over Omoi to attack. Don't cut them, Omoi warns. Karui ignores her teammate and strikes down her sword. Naruto's clone easily grabs the blade between two hands, surprising Karui. Sakura and Hinata then move to strike the other two Kumo. Samui dodges Sakura's kick, and Omoi turns to knock Hinata away. As the real Naruto moves to catch Hinata, Karui hits and disperses his clone. Enough! Naruto yells after securing Hinata and walks her to the group. Sakura recognizes their forehead protectors and asks, you guys are the ones asking Naruto to hunt down Sasuke? That's right, Omoi states. It's too bad you seem to have feelings for him, or I wouldn't mind making you my girlfriend. Yuck, as if I could ever go for the likes of you. Sakura yells back. Omoi, I think the blue-haired girl is a better girlfriend material, Karui suggests. I'll let you have her, if you let me have the blonde. What do you mean, if I let you have the blonde? Omoi asks outraged. I'm not interested in guys. I'm a guy with highly refined tastes for girls, thank you very much. Karui snickers. Actually, Naruto's mine and I'm his. Hinata shouts as she springs up from Naruto's embrace, surprising the two former teammates of Team 7 who are more familiar with the quieter Hinata. So does that mean the pink-haired girl's available? Omoi asks. As far as I know, Naruto replies. Quit talking as if I'm not here. Sakura yells at the two of them, bobbing both on their heads. She then turns to the Kumo trio. What do you want with Sasuke-kun? What's he done to you? I guess your Hokage didn't get a chance to explain to you yet. Samui steps forward. He attacked our village and kidnapped our sensei, who's probably dead by now. I don't believe you. Sasuke-kun wouldn't. Sakura trails off, not sure if she believes what she was planning on saying. She then rephrases, why would he do such a thing? I don't know, Omoi answers. I mean, does anyone really knows why Akatsuki do what they do? The Raikage dispatched us to kill Sasuke. We'll get our revenge for our master. Quote, Sasuke-kun. He's Akatsuki now? Sakura's disbelief evident. That's not possible. His pursuit in life was killing Itachi, his brother who was a member of the Akatsuki. He would never join them. What Kumo says is true, Naruto confirms, much to Sakura's horror. You know what, you're annoying. Karui yells at Sakura. Are you even ninja? What's that man to you anyway? Oh, Naruto, Sakura sobs into his embrace, much to Hinata and Naruto's awkwardness. Tell me it isn't so. Oi, it's true, Karui answers instead, but why is she crying when we're the ones who lost Killer Bee and Yugito? Omoi asks Naruto, so, are you going to provide us information about him, or what? Sakura is in so much agony, crying uncontrollably at this point, that Naruto releases the hand that has been holding onto Hinata's so he can comfort her properly. There's nothing we can do about Yugito, but like I said before, since Killer Bee is a Jinchuriki, Akatsuki wants him alive. So you should be focusing on looking for him, Naruto explains. I'll help, too. Go back to the tent you found me in yesterday and someone there will hand you my notes on them. But, in return, I want you 3 out of my village before sundown. Karui, looks like the competition is a bitch with this one. Omoi observes Naruto with the 2 girls flanking his sides. Too bad you don't have a hottie to comfort you like that. What about you? It's not like you'll have any chance with him either. Oi, woman, how many times do I have to tell you? I'm straight, as in I like women, not men. Shut up, you two, Samui yells, slapping both of them in the head. She then grabs them and bows toward the Hokage. Thank you for your help, Hokage-sama. We're sorry for what happened here. We'll inform Raikage to expect your reply at the Cage Summit. Then, they go their way to the command post. Shish, Naruto continues to soothe his former crush. I'll bring him back one way or another. I won't go back on my word. But what about Kumo? Sakura asks, finally raising her head to look into his eyes. I don't know yet. I'll have to talk to the Raikage and see. He holds her a little longer until he's sure she's calm enough. Hinata and I have to go now. Go on, Sakura says as she reluctantly parts with his warmth. Don't worry about me. Naruto nods and reaches his hand absent-mindedly for Hinata's, but comes up empty. He turns to find her gone already. Damn it. He runs off after her, leaving Sakura looking longingly at his departing form. Naruto, wait, causing the blonde to turn to her. Let me go with you so I can explain to her myself. I don't want her to misunderstand. But won't it be better if I do this alone? Well, you know how you are with girls, Sakura persuades. Do you really trust yourself to explain this to her? You're right, Sakura-chan. I'm glad to have a friend like you. Naruto smiles brightly. Yeah. Sakura forces a smile in return. XXXXXX. Anko-san. Sai whispers as he and Kiba crawl up next to her hidden position outside a cave. We were sent as your backup. I don't need it, the special Junin says, but I'll remember to thank the Godam when we get back. Actually, it's the Rokudame who sent us, Kiba informs. Tsunade-sama is in a coma right now after using too much chakra protecting the village. Wait, who's the Rokudame? And did we win? You better tell me from the top. What about Kabuto? Kiba asks, you know, the reason we're here? Don't worry, he's doing one of his routine visits to his labs, running experiments. We got time, Anko assures them. Okay, Kiba whispers back. It started with Naruto showing up after pain had decimated our village. XXXXXX. Naruto-sama. A male voice calls out, stopping the blonde in his treks just outside of the Hyuga compound. Neji? Naruto turns to look and meets an intense glaze from a pair of pupil-less eyes. Standing next to him is Sakura. Are you the reason Hinata-sama is now crying? Neji's stoic voice makes it impossible to tell if he's upset, but Naruto very much doubts he isn't. He notices that the Hyuga is looking between him and Sakura with narrowed eyebrows. Sakura flinches under Neji's fiery glaze and involuntarily inches closer toward her former teammate. Naruto, sensing her uneasiness, and thinks she's probably still shaken up after that news about Sasuke. He moves closer and puts a hand on her shoulders. Neji, the young leader, sighs, "There's a big misunderstanding. I need to talk to Hinata-chan now." "Not from where I'm standing, there isn't." Neji adamantly refuses. "I will not let you hurt my cousin like that. You know how she feels about you. How can you do this to her?" "How can I do what, Neji?" Naruto asks in earnestness. "Come on, let me talk to Hinata-chan, or maybe Sakura-chan can do a better job for me. Just let us see her. Please." "Neji, please," Sakura pleads. "Naruto's right, I'm only here to help." Neji laughs dryly. "You really are clueless, aren't you, Naruto? Fine, I'll try to get you an audience with her. No promises. But you come alone." He then turns to Sakura, seeing right through her ploy with his trained Hyuga eyes. "Bakugan not needed. You really are something else, Sakura. Isn't Naruto lucky to have a friend like you?" Unable to face Neji's words pricking at her conscience, Sakura grabs Naruto's arm and says, "Come on, Naruto. It looks like she doesn't want to talk to us today." "But, I gotta talk to her and clear things up," protests Naruto. "I can't let." Another day, Naruto, Sakura interrupts abruptly. "Give her time and space today. How about I treat you to some ramen to cheer you up?" "Sure, Sakura." The said girl flinches at lack of Naruto's usual enthusiasm about ramen and at the lack of the normal honorifics after her name, but she says nothing, being content to settle for her deluded view that this somehow classifies as a date. Once they can no longer be seen or heard, Hinata steps out of her hiding and stands next to Neji. She holds her hands together close to her heart, her lips parting as if wanting to call after him, her face worried that she might have lost him to her already, and her eyes swollen from the tears she's been shedding. "Anyo. Thank you, Neji. You should go after him," Neji suggests. "It's not his fault." Hinata shakes her head. "He's leaving for the Cage Summit tomorrow. It can wait until he comes back." Neji shakes his head and sighs. "If you say so, Hinata-sama. XXXXXX. Hey, Sasuke." A figure appears, warping its existence out of hole in the air, his presence blocking the way of 4 ninja heading toward Konoha. Karen notices that Madara appeared out of nowhere. Not even a hinting of his chakra. "Madara, how did you get my location?" asks Sasuke, the leader of Team Hawk, calling the rest to stop. "Do not underestimate me. It's within my powers," the orange-masked elder replies. Sasuke says, "So, what do you want?" "Taka's through with Akatsuki." "Not quite," Madara sternly rebukes. "You failed your mission. Hachibi pulled a fast one on you. I'm really disappointed in you guys." At first the group's really confused, thoroughly believing they've captured, turned in, and extracted the 8-tailed Biju. Then, Sasuke recalls something about Hachibi's severed tentacles during the fight. His arrogance in the Sharingan refuses to believe that Killer Bee could have switched himself, but there's no denying the truth. "Don't worry about him right now," Madara offers. "I've already sent someone for the job. I have another job for you." "What if I say no?" Sasuke asks, centering himself to attack. "Then, I won't let you get to Konoha." The orange mask stares back at the Uchiha teen. "And, I'll kill all of you for betraying Akatsuki. I'll force my way through." Sasuke already has his Chidori in Madara's chest as soon as the elder ninja finished talking, his speed surprising the older Uchiha. But just as quickly, Sasuke sees himself passing through the man as if he's an apparition. Madara smirks undetectably under his mask and says, "It's a little too late to go to Konoha now. Konoha was destroyed by my minion, Pain." It gets the rise from Sasuke he's looking for. The teen fumes that his plan got frustrated and tries another Chidori, which ends up passing through again. At that moment, Zetsu sprouts like a shoot out of a branch, surprising Team Taka. Once he's fully formed, Zetsu announces, more or less to Madara, "Danzo's the new Hokage." "Figured as much," Madara says. "Danzo?" Sasuke vehemently mouths that name, slowly leaking killing intent. He remembers Madara telling him that Danzo was one of the elders that ordered Itachi to perform the massacre against his clan. "What happened to Konoha?" Madara smiles underneath his mask. "One of my minions, Pain, destroyed Konoha, so there's nothing left for you to destroy. As long as Danzo lives," Sasuke states, "I have my reason for going to Konoha." Actually, he won't be in Konoha by the time you get there, the plant variant counters. You see, Madara explains, a lot of commotion has been generated by you and Pain, and the cages decided no longer to be idle. They're heading to meet together as we speak. Sasuke remains silent at this as Zetsu continues, I'll explain the rest, Sasuke. Pain took the lead in capturing the 9-tailed beasts and their Jinchurikis. He's one of the strongest Akatsuki, who killed someone who was stronger than 3 Sanins together to overtake aim. One of his jutsu could level a whole village, which was what happened to Konoha. When he heard Zetsu said, tailed beasts, Sasuke pictured his former friend and rival Naruto and being in his mindscape staring at Kyuubi. Zetsu's other half chimes in, yeah, and Pain was defeated by the Kyuubi brat, that Uzumaki Naruto. So, he's probably stronger than you. Jugo raises his eyebrows. This Naruto defeated Pain all by himself? Let's not lose our focus. Sasuke downplays the situation. The 5 cages are the problem. Should we go to this cage summit and find Danzo? Suigetsu suggests. There's nothing left in Konoha anyway. Karen doesn't like Suigetsu's suggestion at all. She rebukes her thorn in the flesh, but we're talking about 5 of the strongest ninjas alive today. Only a madman would do that. Our plan has changed. Sasuke confirming his own mental state. We're going to this meeting. How? Jugo reasons. We can't if we don't know where. Actually, I can help, offers Zetsu as he splits himself into 2 halves, shocking Team Taka who are not familiar with Zetsu's abilities. Zetsu's white half leads them away. Can we trust them? Jugo asks Sasuke as they follow this strange Akatsuki. For now, we have no choice, Sasuke answers. I'll use Amaterasu on them if needed. And there's something else I want to test. Zetsu's black half watches their departure and congratulates Tobi. Looks like your plan is working. Saying that Danzo became the Hokage seems to motivate him, just like you thought it would. He'll find out it's Naruto soon enough. We'll just chuck it up to false rumors. Did you spread this Danzo rumor like I asked you to? Haha, Zetsu laughs. Yeah, that Kyuubi brat will have Danzo's enemies waiting in ambush. This doesn't seem to cheer up Madara who vents. I can't believe Nagato used his Tensai jutsu like that. What a betrayal. He was supposed to save that for me. Still, I can't believe you plan even this far, Zetsu comments, taking that possibility into consideration. That Uzumaki Naruto has thrown a wrench to my plans. Madara raises his arms in anger and frustration. Zetsu, I'm tired of passive planning. It's time for the Moon Eye plan. XXXXXX. After lunch with Sakura and a visit to Tsunade's tent, noticing some gradual improvement, Naruto now returns alone to the top of the Hokage monument, which is acting as his makeshift training ground and living quarter. It is still early, barely an hour past noon, and Naruto plans to work well into the night again. Besides this being the last day for training before departing for the Cage Summit, he also needs this to keep his mind off the sad emptiness in his heart. Hinata, Naruto sighs. He hates how things are now. The feeling of bliss of finding love with prospect of forming a family of his own all vanished as quickly as it came. And now, the emptiness that has always been there is even more pronounced. Naruto's learned new tricks about working with clones since Kakashi first introduced this method to him, especially after his training in Senjutsu at Mount Myoboku. Every time one clone discharges, its individual experience and knowledge become those of the existing clones and himself. He's found that if he times the discharging of clones to a fixed time interval, he exponentially shortens the time it takes to learn new things. For learning his father's 3 scrolls, he's made 1,000 standby clones purely for the purpose of this gradual discharging. And he's seeing the results already. So far, his clones have mastered most of the Fuins developed by his father and are venturing to make their own. One of the most important Fuin for his training is the one that allows him to master jutsus of elements not his natural affinity. Chakra Kyome Fuin. Another one reflecting his father's creative brilliance. There are 5 variations of this Fuin, one for each element. The drawings for each are the exact same, with exception of the kanji in the middle, which is the kanji for that specific element. They have to be unique because each acts as the chakra purifier for that element. For example, the one with the fire kanji in the middle purifies his chakra so he can execute Kaiden jutsus. There's a drawback using this, however. The purification process uses a fold of the chakra. So, when he performs a jutsu through this fuin, he has to use twice as much chakra as someone who has an affinity for that element. But the advantage of this fuin is that the jutsus outside his affinity will be just as strong as if he was born with the affinity. One of the clones grabs the original Naruto's shoulders and takes his clothes off. Chakra Kyome Fuin is drawn covering the whole body with that person's own blood, infused with that person's own chakra. The process is quite labor and detail intensive. It takes 2 hours, even with 5 clones working at the same time. Naruto has 4 variations drawn, one for every element, except Fuuten, for which he already has affinity. So, in the end, Fuuten will remain his preference since doing them won't cost twice the amount of chakra. Once the chakra Kyome Fuin's drawn, Naruto forms some hand seals and with a pulse of chakra, covers his right hand over his heart. Immediately, the chakra in his hand pulses throughout the markings on his body. The glow travels from where his hand touches, following the flow of the pulsing chakra and erasing the bloody markings as soon as it passes. He tries to hold off his scream, but pain from the tearing and the reshaping of his chakra coils is too much to bear until he passes out, dispelling all of his clones. Naruto? Sleeping on the job, I see. And naked, too. Kakashi produces a camera out of nowhere and snaps a couple before the blonde awakens. This makes great blackmailing material. Or I can always post them on the walls in the women's bathhouses, and see what happens. Kakashi-sensei? Naruto struggles to put on his cloth, unaware of what just transpired. I came as soon as I heard your scream, Kakashi explains. And on the way, I helped an old lady cross the street. And how long was I out? You probably fainted after you stopped screaming, Kakashi sounding sage. So, I'm guessing 2 hours ago. 2 hours, Naruto shouted. What if my life was really in danger? Kakashi shrugs. I guess I'll just have to blame the old lady, then. Later, Naruto's sweat drops. Before you go, I need you to gather these two to meet me in front of the main gate noon tomorrow. Naruto hands him a sheet of paper with 2 names on it. They'll be coming with me to the summit. Good choice, Kakashi comments after glancing at it. After Kakashi left, Naruto creates 100 clones to work on those 20 jutsu favorites of his parents. With this chakra purification seal converting his chakra into the required elements, pulling off these jutsus should be a breeze, since the hard part, manipulating chakra into that element, is already pre-wired into his chakra coils. All he needs to do now is to memorize the hand seals and gauge how much chakra to use for each jutsu, which he will complete before the night's over. Briefly, he wonders if he can modify his father's seal to work on natural energy of the sage art. Kachiyose no jutsu. Naruto-kun, why have you summoned me? Fukasaku asks. Take a look at this fuin. Naruto shows the chakra Kyome Fuin to the Toad. It looks like some kind of conversion seal to me, Fukasaku remarks. Yeah, it purifies my chakra into the element denoted by the kanji in the middle, Naruto explains. Do you think it can be modified to purify natural energy? You mean so you can use senjutsu longer, without worrying about the side effects of turning into a stone toad? Fukasaku asks. Naruto nods and pushes a pile of paper the toad's way. Here are some of my modification ideas. I have no way of testing these safely, so. Wow, Fukasaku interjects after seeing the meticulous details on them. It's brilliant. I'll work with Ma on getting them tested right away. After the summon dispels itself, Naruto grabs some scrolls onto which his clones scribed the markings of Fujikamaru Fuin, another of his father's creations. Fujikamaru Fuin acts as a storage seal, but much more powerful. It's similar to Jiraiya's Fuin used to seal off Itachi's black flames, but using Fujikamaru will quarantine the flames first, suspending it and making it inert. Naruto can then choose if or when to seal it off. Fujikamaru Fuin is pre-drawn onto a scroll, ready to be activated with a single chakra pulse. Naruto likes his father's version better than Jiraiya's because its ability to neutralize attacks makes it much more versatile. The clones made plenty of Fujikamaru scrolls for him to take on the journey to the summit tomorrow. With Akatsuki still at large and now the addition of Sasuke, Naruto cannot be too prepared. The Hiraishin scroll, though, is still just a bunch of theories to him. Some he understands, but others go over his head. Some of his father's notes in the Fuinjutsu scroll shows its early developments, but instead of feeling more at ease with it, he becomes more overwhelmed by its monstrous complexity. He spent the rest of the night looking over his own Fuin creations. They're not really creations, because he's been piecing together some basics patterns from his father's notes, not yet ready to design one from scratch all by himself. But he's able to discover new uses by arranging them in ways his father didn't think of doing, or at least they haven't been recorded in his notes. All in all, he's happy with his progress, looking forward to the summit. As night rolls into morning, Naruto is asleep in his tent on top of the Hokage monument. Today is the day he leaves for the Cage Summit, but he still has things he wants to resolve beforehand, and none more important than addressing his fragile startup relationship with Hinata. Because it has been on his mind all night, he is dreaming about his first date he had with Hinata a few days ago, the one where they ate together at Ichiraku's. "Oi, Naruto, or should I call you Hokage-sama now?" teased the old ramen chef. "Ugh, not you too." Naruto played along. He knew the ramen chef was teasing him for fun. Ayame called out from the back, "Is that Naruto?" She quickly ran out to greet him with her usual kind smile. "Wow, he has a cute girlfriend too." She then teasingly pouted, "I'm offended that you didn't mention this sooner." Naruto sheepishly rubbed the back of his head and offered his bright smile. "Actually it just happened. Hinata-chan's the reason I'm alive, and for that matter the reason we won. The least I can do is to take her out to lunch." Hinata, who was already blushing from all the complimentary cheers from the villagers as they walked here, blushed even redder from hearing their conversation. "Anyo, I didn't do that much." "Nonsense. You're the talk of the town, second to your boyfriend here," Ayame cheerfully informed. Everyone, especially the kunoichi, all thought that was a very brave and romantic thing to do. She smiled at Hinata and then pointed at Naruto. "If he was still clueless after your confession, me and all the kunoichi in Konoha planned to tattoo what you've said on his forehead, so that he won't forget." Hinata smiled as she watched the three of them interact. She could tell that Teuchi and Ayame were few of the people that cared for Naruto, and Naruto, them. It was at that moment, and much to her embarrassment, her stomach joined in. "What do you know, another ramen lover. Looks like she's a keeper," compliments the chuckling old chef as he prepared all the materials for Naruto's anticipated big order. "So, what will it be for you and your lady?" Naruto ordered 3 Naruto specials, while Hinata ordered a bowl of miso ramen. Both sat there enjoying each other's company. Then, out of nowhere, Sakura appeared in the seat on Naruto's other side. "What? Why? She's not supposed to be here." Naruto shouts as he momentarily pauses the dream, wondering why this part is different than what really happened that day. "You really are stupid. It's your dream. Why are you asking me for?" Kyuubi growls, equally peeved about the interruption. The Biju then bares his teeth in a very unsuccessful attempt to smile. "I'm curious to see where your mind is taking us. Why don't you let it run and see, huh?" In his mindscape, Naruto shrugs and unpauses the dream, equally curious. "What are you doing here, Sakura?" Naruto asked. Her presence really soured the mood. Teuchi and Ayame looked on with guarded faces. They knew that Naruto had the biggest childhood crush on Sakura. They had seen him ask her out and her reject him, often accompanied by verbal and physical assaults. They hadn't seen them together much after Naruto returned from his training with Jiraiya, so it seemed that Naruto had grown out of his crush, or at least didn't try to kiss the ground she walked on in front of the ramen father and daughter. And now, they weren't sure how things were going to play out and silently asked themselves, does Naruto still have feelings for Sakura? On the other hand, Hinata's mood seemed to be most affected by the sudden appearance of Naruto's former crush, due mostly to her insecurities. Her relationship with Naruto was still new, and she still hadn't fully accepted why Naruto would or did pick her over Sakura, who, according to Hinata, was much stronger and prettier. One minute, she was in jubilee, and the next, she felt her innards were being ripped from her. "I've finally come to my senses. I don't want Sasuke anymore. I want you, Naruto-kun." Sakura answered Naruto's question. She reached out for his hands, grabbed them and playfully locked their fingers together as she marveled at how nicely their hands fit together. What is she doing? Naruto snaps at the image of himself as he watches the dream play out in front of him. "Stop interrupting the show, boy. I'm sure it'll be answered soon enough." An irritated Kyuubi wills the dream to continue. It was a few seconds of silence, very, very brief. It shouldn't even count, but Naruto couldn't deny that he enjoyed Sakura's soft skin caressing his callous hands. As quickly as the sensation traveled to his brain, as quickly as guilt hit his heart, he pulled his hands away. I can't. I got Hinata-chan now. Naruto looked away to find Hinata. Hinata-chan? Hinata, the docile kindred soul that couldn't hurt a fly, was shedding tears. Seeing her like this shattered Naruto's heart into pieces. Hinata-chan, I'm sorry. Naruto cried out to her as he tried to hold her hands and pull her into his embrace, but her image faded as soon as he touched her. What's going on? Naruto panicked. He turned to Tsuchi and Ayame and saw their faces morphed into Neji's. Ugh, Neji? Naruto was officially freaked out. What began as a nice dream turned out to be a nightmare that meshed what happened yesterday in a most surreal way. Naruto, do you see what you've done to Hinata-sama? The two Nejis said with one voice as both tightened their apron strings and eased into the Jukin stance. Stand and face your punishment. Naruto looked around for Hinata, but found Sakura instead. Naruto-kun, you don't have to take this, his pink-haired teammate offered. You can just come to me, and I can make all your pains go away. But what about Hinata-chan? Naruto asks. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, Sakura shook her head. It's just me or her. You have to choose. I'm sorry, too, Sakura. Naruto lowered his head and looked away. I've already chosen. It's Hinata. At that very moment, everything faded. The two Nejis, Tsuchi, Ayame, who were in the midst of landing a Jukin strike against him, gone. The Ichiraku ramen stand and the bowls of delicious steamy ramen, gone. Sakura, gone. Everything turned blank. Naruto looked around and found nothing but white emptiness. He frantically shouted into the emptiness above him with all that remained of his existence, Hinata-chan. I don't want to lose you. Suddenly the person Naruto wanted to see the most materialized before him. Naruto didn't want to take any more chances. He quickly pulled her in and enveloped her tightly in his arms. Slowly and reluctantly, her hands found their way to his back, but once there, she returned his embrace with equal passion. They remained blissfully entwined in silence for who knew how long. Nothing more needed to be said between them. What now? Naruto and Kyuubi echo each other's sentiments as their shaking surrounding interrupted the dreamland. Ugh, whoever waking me up better have a good reason, or I'm shoving a Rasengan up a new one. With that said, Naruto finds himself waking up to the morning in the most pleasant way imaginable. Naruto-kun, a sweet voice seductively whispers in the young man's ear, stirring him from his sleep. He's too content savoring the nocturnal bliss to recognize why the voice is so familiar. Naruto-kun, this time a different voice, equally sweet, whispers hotly into his other ear. A satisfied smile forms on his face. Princess Yukie? Naruto sleepily asks with his eyes still closed. He's getting more awake now. Stop, it tickles. Naruto-kun, it's the first female this time. Hinata-chan? A pause, and then a fully awake Naruto sits up, shouting the person that's been on his mind, Hinata-chan. What he sees is beyond any of his expectations. His visual sensory greets his brain with the most angelic image. Hinata sitting in front of him, completely nude. She has a rosy blush on each cheek. The rest of her flawless body is ivory white. She's leaning forward on her slender arms that meet at her hands to conveniently cover her private. Hugging her from behind is an equally nude Princess Yukie, with her chest tightly pressed against Hinata's back. Her snow-white elegant arms snake around Hinata's body, and her hands barely cup Hinata's well-developed chest. Yukie's face comes around to lean into Hinata's, both smiling and winking coyly at him. Anything we can do for you this morning, Naruto-sama? That's just too much for Naruto to handle. His head leans back as jet streams of blood shoot forth from his nostrils, lifting him up into the air and landing 5 feet away. Princess Yukie and Hinata both pump their fists celebratorily and dispel into a cloud of smoke. Jumping into the air above the dispersing smoke is an elated Konohamaru. I did it. I beat boss with his own technique. This is gotta to the most awesome cage killer jutsu ever. After recovering from a replication of his first original jutsu, the Oiroke, Naruto stands a little lightheaded from the massive nosebleed and yells at his #1 fan. What the hell was that, Konohamaru? He then pumps his fist and says, that was totally awesome. Boss, I knew you would approve. Naruto meets his smiling face and turns a bit serious. I've heard you've used the Rasengan against pain. He walks to him and ruffles his hair. Thanks for taking care of things while I was gone. I'll show you how to make a bigger one when I get back from the summit. Thanks, boss. As Naruto turns to leave, he looks back at the young boy and states, "Oh, yeah, from now on, don't call me boss. Call me Ni-san." Konohamaru widens his eyes, then softens them as his face lights up in a smile mirroring Naruto's. XXXXXX. What the hell was that all about? After Konohamaru left to train with his team and Junin-sensei, Naruto is left with the leisure and the solitude to ponder aloud his dream. Or, was it a nightmare? In my dream, Sakura was returning my affection? Why would she do that knowing that I'm with Hinata now? Nah, Sakura liking me? Fat chance. Naruto laughs at the absurdity of the obvious. Surely there has to be another way of looking at things. I'll never understand women. I wish Ba-chan is awake for me to ask. She was always helpful before. The blonde jerks his head upward after coming to something equally obvious. That's it. I'll go see how she is doing, and if she isn't awake yet, I'll ask Shizune. Naruto flexes his muscles as he descends from the top the Hokage monument to the rest of the village. Sleeping on the top of his father's sculpted head the past few days has, in some unexplained way, helped him feel closer to him. Now he understands why he gravitated toward this spot when younger. As he observes the rebuilding work of the village and how everyone works together in unity by putting away old differences, Naruto comes to a new understanding of what the Sandaime affectionately called Wool of Fire. Although they recently lost everything, they smile because they've found something of even greater value, each other. Many are rushing to do as much work as daylight affords them. Those that notices him walking by waves at the man largely responsible for their progress. Naruto's cage bunchins are crowd favorites because many hands do make the load light. Thinking about clones, Naruto makes 200 more, sending them to work. The original closes his distance to Tsunade's tent. Soon, the newly appointed cage arrives at Tsunade's medical tent. The tent is heavily guarded by the 4 root nins Kakashi that has posted around the perimeters is where Naruto finds Tsunade and her attendant. So far the root agents have proved to be royal and invaluable additions to the ninja force. Once he enters, Naruto breathes a sigh of relief not finding a certain pink-haired member of Team 7. Shizune, how's Tsunade Baba? Naruto, stop calling Tsunade-sama that. She giggles anyway, knowing this is the same old easygoing Naruto after all. She sobers when answering, her vitals perked up slightly after your last visit a few days ago, and we were finally successful in getting her chakra level back to her normal self. She pauses and leads Naruto to her bedside. As you can see, her ageless jutsu has self-activated and she's back to looking younger again. But, as with any coma patient, even when she is back to perfect health, it's hard to tell when she will wake up. Unfortunately, the longer she's asleep, the less likely she'll wake up. At first happy that she's in perfect health, but now sad that she's not waking up, Naruto's cheerful demeanor plummets. So, it's just a sit and wait, huh? I hate sit and wait. Isn't there anything we can do to speed this up? Shizune shakes her head and offers, she might be in a coma, but she still is aware of her surroundings. Until she wakes up, I'll be by her bedside keeping her company. So far, I've told her about the goings-on in Konoha and read to her personal journal and even some of her own medical jutsu scrolls, hoping that something will bring her back from the land of unconsciousness. Beyond that, there's nothing more we can do. Boy, I wish Ero Sennin was still around. I bet he can think of something. Perhaps. They were close after all. In fact, she took his death pretty hard, Shizune states. She then opens up to a page toward the last entries in Tsunade's journal. Look at this. Naruto reads where Shizune's finger is pointing. I had a bad feeling when Jiraiya-kun, Jiraiya-kun? Naruto repeats in surprise, to which Shizune nods. He continues reading, when Jiraiya-kun left for AIM. Like the typical him, he said something gallant and foolish when he left, about doing something important for the next generation. Yet, his confident smile made me think of Dan, and my heart skipped a beat, like the way it used to when it had remembered how to love. I wanted to grab him and give him something to remember me by. A reason to come back safely, to me. Shizune flips a few more pages to another entry where Naruto picks up the reading. It hurts. I knew it would the moment I opened my heart to love again. It hurts because Jiraiya-kun, the baka object of my affection, Didn't even know he had me to come back to. That I would give him a chance the next time he asked for one. It hurts when Naruto barged in today and yelled at me for not sending anyone to avenge your death. Seeing the anger and the pain in his eyes only made it hurt that much more because it was then that I realized how much I wished he had known about my feelings. Now, he would never know. Naruto had a hard time reading the last few sentences. It was hard to see clearly when his eyelids were filled with pain and sorrow. He raises his hand to clear the tears as he says, "I didn't know she was hurting so much." My harsh words made it worse for her that day. He hands the journal back to Shizune and sits on the bed edge as he endearingly holds Tsunade's right hand in his. "I'm sorry, Ba-chan. I wish I can take back those words. Please wake up soon." After a moment, Shizune puts a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "I'm sure she has already forgiven you. So, what was it that you need?" "Oh, I have something to ask you." After discussing his dream with Shizune, Naruto asks, "So what does it mean?" "Sounds to me like you experienced something disturbing yesterday, at least subconsciously," the dark-haired medic explains using her professional tone. "And while you were sleeping, your mind worked out the details and communicated them through a dream." Naruto considers what happened yesterday and relates the events to Shizune. "So you were hugging Sakura, your old flame, in front of Hinata? And you expect her not to be jealous?" Shizune asks while shaking her head, not believing how clueless Naruto is with girls. "Jealous? So, that's why she left after she saw me hugging Sakura?" Shizune sighs and nods. "So all I have to do is explain it to her and everything will be okay?" Naruto hopefully asks. "Not only that," Shizune explains, "you'll also need to reassure her that you are over Sakura. You are over her, right?" "Huh? Well, I still feelings for her." Naruto, seeing Shizune's angry look, holds up his hands and quickly adds, "but only as a friend. Honest. I mean during my 3 years training trip with Ero Sennin, I realized that Sasuke would always be her first choice, and I didn't want to play the third wheel anymore. It's about time, if you ask me." Shizune concurs. "Yeah, especially now that I know how Hinata feels about me." Naruto relates. "I mean, I don't know her as well as I do Sakura, but I just can't ignore her feelings like that, especially since I know how painful not having your feelings returned can feel. Plus, she did risk her life for me." Shizune's face darkens and yells at him incredulously, "So you're only going out with her because you feel sorry for her? And for some stupid heroics she did? Now that you put it that way, I sound like a bad person." Naruto forces a nervous smile. He explains, "Like I said, I don't really know her that well. When we were young, I always thought her weird because she fainted too much or ran a temperature when around me. You don't really expect me to love her back without getting to know her first, right?" "Yeah, you're right. You can't rush or force love." Shizune sees his point and agrees, even though the romantic girly girl inside of her wants to see them fall in love, get married, make babies, and live happily ever after. "Yeah, as if I don't already have enough on my plate." Naruto runs his hand through his hair, exasperated. "You're right. As a newly installed Hokage with an entire village to rebuild, you have quite a lot on your plate. And in an hour, you'll be leaving for the Cage Summit in Iron Country." Shizune rattles off some of the things off the top of her mind. "Oh no, that doesn't give me much time to see Ino." Naruto runs out of the tent, letting his words trail off. "Ino?" Shizune now more worried. "Don't tell me, he's got another girl? XXXXXX. Hurry up, Kankuro." Temari yells at her brother. Today is the day they accompany her younger brother Gaara to the Cage Summit. "Oh, shut it, Temari." Kankuro yells back. "I still got to prepare my puppets, which requires the utmost degree of finesse and attention to details. Go put more makeup on, or something." Just when Temari is about to retort, Gaara says, "With the two of you bantering like this, it's no wonder I turned out the way I did before Naruto beat some sense into me. You know, I can go back to behaving like I still have Ichibi in me if you think it'll make you go faster and quieter. I won't mind, honestly." The two older siblings look at each other and quickly decline. "No, that's quite all right, Gaara. We don't want that." Soon, the three Sand siblings assemble in the front gate being sent off by the entire village. Temari smiles as she looks at all those who gathered there wishing Gaara a safe trip. It's been a few years since Gaara made his fate-changing acquaintance with Naruto that transformed Gaara into who he is today, and Gaara has never looked back. And now, to think that the whole village worry about his safety, that's something else, all right. Be careful, Gaara. Matsuri nearly runs to him if it isn't for the big gathering. That's nice of you to worry about my brother, Matsuri, Tamari teases with a wink, causing her to blush. Ebizu, one of the village advisors, admonishes, don't joke about things like that. I'm leaving the case cage's protection to you. Don't worry, Konkaru says with a laugh, it's not like Gaara needs a bodyguard. Gaara waves back at Everone. We got to get going. Thank you for coming to see us off. He then turns to his siblings. I wonder who'll be representing Konoha. Good question, his brother muses along. They sent a messenger hawk for aid, and then sent one a few days later to cancel saying everything's okay now. Maybe we'll see someone we know, the fan mistress hopes. A certain pineapple head, perhaps? The puppet master teases. You know guys, Gaara sighs, my offer to revert back to my old self still stands. Needless to say, the rest of the trip finds those two on their top behavior. XXXXXX. Gathered rock ninja bid farewell to the Tsuchikage, and ask Kuritsuchi and Akatsuchi to watch after him. This is crazy. They still expect me at my age to travel and carry this big heavy thing? Cries out a stumpy old man possibly in his 80s. His face is ridden with warts. That's right old man, Kuritsuchi suggests jokingly, you should just step down and let me take over. Fat chance. Tsuchikage rebukes, you youngsters don't know anything about manners or politics. And who says I can't carry this thing by myself? No one. The huge Akatsuchi smiles as he replies. As the aged Kage tries to get under the heavy luggage, his eyes closes forcefully as he cries out in pain, Kuzo, my hips. Akatsuchi lifts the elder and his luggage, despite much complaints from his commander, and they set out. One of the ninja watching their departure says, our Tsuchikage-sama is really old. Hey, I heard that, son. Tsuchikage shouts, just wait until I get back. What is your name again? My memory isn't what it used to be. The rest of the village sweat drops. XXXXXX. In mist, the gathered ninja bid farewell to the Mizukage and her attendants Ao and Chojuru. Take care of the Mizukage. Make sure nothing goes wrong. One of the Junin bids his goodbye. I know, Ao says, slightly exasperated by the formality of things. Wordlessly, an old feeble man hands Mizukage her hat. Thank you, says a stunning beauty with straight lengthy hair that stretches to her ankles. Her bane letting her mesmerizing face sways when she turns to address the village. I swear on my name as Mizukage, I will fulfill my duty to the best of my ability. Another Junin in the midst of the crowd calls out, Chojuro, as 1-7 swordsman, you must protect Mizukage-sama. I think I'll be fine, probably, the goggle and earmuff-wearing young man with twin swords tied to his back responds nervously. Have faith in yourself, Chojuro, Mizukage assuringly soothes, as one of the 7, you're strong. That's why you were chosen to guard me, okay? Yeah, I'll try. I'll do my best. I hope. Chojuro stumbles more than usual under the Mizukage's enchanting smile. His blush betrays his secret crush for her. Whatever, you kids today. Why can't you just say, yes, ma'am? We don't need you spouting on about, I'll do my best. Be a man, already, Chojuro. Ao the other attendant lectures. He has a patch covering his left eye. Stop your manhood lecture, the Junin standing next to the aged village elder shouts out. Be on your way, already, or you'll be late. The Mizukage silently fumes. Need a man? Manhood? Late? Even though she's still a knockoff beauty not yet past the prime age for marriage, she doesn't appreciate being reminded of her lack of success in the romance department. I was just giving the kid some advice, retorts Ao, a decade or two older than Chojuro. It's not like. The female Kage walks past him and whispers seductively with a smile, shut up. Or I'll kill you. Ao swallows the rest of his words and silently flanked his Kage, wondering what had gotten in her head of their leader. As they travel to Iron Country, Mizukage can't help but ponder on her single status. She doesn't do this often, but with the way people constantly allude to her failure to secure a man, she is left with a heavy emptiness within her heart that needs to be explored. Why can't I find someone? Is there something wrong with me? Or are my standards too high? Certainly being constantly enslaved to meetings and doing the bane of all Kage's existence, mountain loads of paperwork, significantly cuts down her availabilities for a social life. Never mind the fact that her strength and her title as village's strongest are already intimidating enough. She adjusts her hat to shield her face from the chilling wind. Perhaps she'll meet someone who can put up with all that on this trip. XXXXXX. In Cloud, the Raikage asks for word on the Samui team sent to Konoha. His secretary says they are on their way to meet him in Iron Country. He and his attendants Shi and Darui make ready to leave. Eager to head out, Raikage bursts through the window, shattering its glass into countless pieces. Shi comments to Darui, "He's got to be the costliest cage we had in this village." Darui looks at the visage of the departing leader and says, "Got to be." No doubt. He then walks toward the window and readies himself to follow Raikage's path of crashed windows and crumbled walls. She grabs Darui's shoulder and protests, "Shouldn't we take the stairs? You know, safer and cheaper?" Darui shakes his head and grins. "Nah, this way is much quicker and more fun. Besides, the path has already been created and the damages are already on his tab to be paid. Nothing will come out of our pockets." With that said, he leaps out of the window. "Why the hell not?" She looks on and shrugs. "We'll be the first group to get there for sure. XXXXXX. Represent us well, Naruto-sama." Kaharu says as she places the Hokage hat embroidered with the fire kanji on top of Naruto. The hat completes his regal look of a white robe with red flames sewn onto its fringes. It is a robe specially made for him. The Yondaime had the exact same one, but his had been buried with his body. The same village tailor who made the Yondaimes also made the one Naruto is wearing now. He could think none more appropriate than Naruto to wear this robe once again. "I swear on the honor of the Namikaze name that I will not let Konoha down." The village, in fact the entire village, come to see him and his two attendants off. The cheers and encouraging remarks remind him of the reception he received after he defeated Pain. Despite all that, the person he wants to see the most isn't there. Sakura, on the other hand, is standing right in front of him. "Naruto-kun, have a safe trip," Sakura says as she moves in to hug him. "Thanks, Sakura." Naruto holds her by her shoulders, distancing her away from an actual embrace. Sakura looks puzzled and disappointed. "I wonder what happened. I hope Hinata doesn't misunderstand again," Naruto says to himself as he releases his hands from Sakura's shoulders. He can sense Hinata's chakra's signature in the crowd, but she's hiding from him and it's hard for him to pinpoint her exact location. He sighs. Hopefully Ino's suggestion works. Shikaku places his hands on the shoulders of one of the attendants and says, "Take care of yourself, Shika-kun." The platinum blonde standing next to the older Nara says to Shikamaru, "Shika. Protect Naruto at all cost." Troublesome woman. The young Nara sighs. "That's not why Naruto picked me as one of his attendants. Troublesome this, troublesome that. Is that all you know how to say?" Ino yells at her teammate. Her throbbing vein on her forehead is clearly visible. "Looks like this whole trip will be very troublesome indeed." Shikamaru looks longingly at the clouds in the sky, wondering when the next leisurely cloud-watching moment will be. Just when Ino is about to unleash her rage against Shikamaru, Naruto asks her, "So were you able to find it, Ino?" "Oh," Ino says after turning her attention to the fellow blonde and smiling, "I was." "Don't worry, you can count on me. It's time for us to leave, Naruto-sama," a stoic voice says. His father is away on a mission, so he isn't there to send him off. "Yes, you're right, Shino," Naruto replies. He gave up trying to stop Shino from using the honorifics. "Let's go." The crowd continues to wave at their departing hero until the trio are no longer visible. Then, one by one, they return to their rebuilding work, and soon Hinata becomes one of the only two standing there. She has her Byakugan activated. "You know, he was looking for you to say goodbye," Ino says to her. "I know, but I don't want to complicate things for him," Hinata replies. "Here." Ino hands Hinata a bouquet of flowers she has been holding. "Naruto wanted to give this to you himself, but it looks like I'll be the one doing it." Hinata carefully places the bouquet on her arms like she is holding an infant. Being a flower connoisseur herself, she can easily tell they're the rarest of the lilacs not native to Konoha. These must have been hard to find. "You have no idea," Ino says as she turns to leave. "Oh, Naruto wants me to tell you that he's sorry and that he's over Sakura." Hinata looks on, surprised. She then smiles. "Thanks, Ino." Naruto leads Shino and Shikamaru leaping from branch to branch as they hurry through Fire Country at a neck-breaking pace. They want to make it to the Iron Country and rest for the night before the summit the next morning. However, Shino and Shikamaru are struggling with heavy breathing to keep pace with their leader who hasn't yet broken sweat. Seeing that they'll be running out of tree branches soon, which means they are almost out of the fire country, Naruto calls out to his select attendants flanking him, Shika and Shino, how about we rest up a bit? I think we're already halfway there and ahead of schedule. I believe your assessment is logical, Hokage-sama. Shino tries to maintain his calm monotone, but his heavy breathing sabotage his efforts. Yeah, Shikamaru agrees while not faring any better, what he said. Once they jump off their last tree branches, they untie their carry-ons from their back and take their much-deserved rest. Something has been bothering Shino since he received that notice from Kakashi to accompany Naruto on this trip. Taking the opportunity, Shino inquires, Naruto-sama, while I understand why you selected Shikamaru to accompany you, I'm having a difficult time reconciling why you selected me. Shino, I know you want to keep things proper and everything, but it's just us now. So no more, Naruto-sama, nonsense, just, Naruto, would do, declares their leader. Seeing his subordinate wanting to rebuff, Naruto states emphatically, and, that's an order. Hi, Shino finally relents. An order is an order, after all. Now, back to your question, why shouldn't I pick you? Naruto asks a little worried. Do you have something else you had to do for your clan or your insect colonies? Helping the rest of my clan to rebuild is important, but logic follows that this trip weighs more in importance. Shino adjusts his shades and continues, Naruto-sam, Naruto, what I'm unable to reconcile is why take me, a tracking and espionage type, when logic declares you need at least a combative type to protect you or to fight with you, in case the summit turns hostile. Hey, I didn't think of that. The teen Kage smiles sheepishly while rubbing the back of his head, which causes his friends' attendants to sweat drop. Naruto continues, I picked you too because if Sasuke and the Akatsuki show up, Shino, you'll be my tracker and Shika will be my strategist. Shikamaru shakes his head in disbelief. What? He knows Naruto long enough to know Naruto doesn't care about not showing respect to the superiors. You still want to save him? Don't you know that this will lead to another war? I know that Shika. Naruto starts but is interrupted. Then the greater good of the village comes first. Shikamaru presses on. Village first, everything else second. That's the sacrifice of the Hokage. Naruto, I'm afraid Shikamaru is correct. You should have brought someone else. Someone like Guy, Kakashi, or Yamato, and if those Akatsuki do show up, you'll have fighters on your side that you'll need, Shino concludes. Naruto shakes his head and sighs. What kind of Hokage would I be if I can't even save my friend? For that matter, what kind of village will be Konoha? So, you'll sacrifice the lives of you ninja and go to war just to save him? Shikamaru asks with exasperation. No, I will never do that. If anything, it'll be my life on the line, and no one else's, Naruto proclaims emphatically. Also, you should get the whole story first. What I'm about to share is top secret. It's about what really happened during the Uchiha massacre. Naruto then explains how Itachi followed council's order to prevent a Uchiha coup d'état, how Danzo changed the orders to kill off everyone, civilians and children included, and how Itachi spared Sasuke. He then tells them the history of Madara and his contention with the Senju clan, his summoning of Kyuubi in fight against the Shodai and defeat, and how Madara had a role manipulating this whole mess and is probably doing the same, twisting Sasuke's revenge-driven nature to serve his purposes yet again. So, this Madara who fought against the Shodai and was strong enough to summon the most powerful Biju is still alive. Shino finally asks, yeah, remember the search for Sasuke where we met that weird orange-masked ninja who I couldn't land a hit on? Shino nods. Well, that's the guy, informs Naruto. Sounds to me like he was using some kind of time-space jutsu. Analyzes Shikamaru correctly, even though he wasn't there with them. That's what Kakashi-sensei said, Naruto confirms, then sighs and continues, I know what you guys think about Sasuke and all, but he used to be part of Team 7, and we have a bond of friendship that I can't let someone like Orochimaru or Madara destroy. But evidence shows he went to Orochimaru out of his own volition, Shino comments, and is probably working with Madara now because he wants to. I don't believe that, Naruto shouts. The Sasuke before Orochimaru gave him the cursed seal and the Sasuke after are two different persons. And if Madara could twist a Konoha loyalist like Itachi to do his will, then manipulating Sasuke is child's play by comparison. Shikamaru sighs. I'm not sure if I should be happy as your friend that you value friendship highly or that I should be sad as your friend seeing the tragic outcome this course leads to. Remember, if the council and the daimyo can appoint a Hokage, they can remove him from office as well. I don't care about that. There are things more important in life than fame, prestige and power. I used to dream about becoming Hokage because I wanted everyone to acknowledge me, but then after the wave mission, I realized that it's about protecting people who are precious to me, my friends. I don't go back on my word, that's my nindo. And I don't turn back on friendship. Looks like the daimyo made the right call after all, Shikamaru smiles. He then cautions, I'll go along as long as you don't put Konoha in danger, and I'll do everything in my power to stop you, if you do. Naruto nods and promises, thanks, Shika. Don't worry, I won't. I'll go along too, Shino says. I just hope for your sake that you're right about Sasuke. Thanks, Shino. Naruto smiles. So do I. Afterward, Naruto picks up his travel pack and motions them to continue. Out of the blue he says, Shika, do you think we'll get to see Gaara's sister at the summit? The Nara's eyes twitch, but he tries not to sound like he's bothered by it. Why? Oh, I was hoping to ask if she wants to go out on a date. Naruto nonchalantly replies, completely oblivious to Shino and Shikamaru glaring daggers at him. Shino, because he's Hinata's teammate and hates it if Naruto breaks her heart, and Shika, because of his possible feelings for Temari, though he's been in self-denial. Sensing that both of his friends stop following him, Naruto turns around and asks with sincere innocence, What? What did I say? How dare you to betray Hinata's feelings like that? She loves you and was even willing to die for you. Audible shouting and ostentatious emotions from Shino? Needless to say, his outburst shocks Naruto and Shikamaru. Naruto quickly puts up his hands in protest and confusion. No, why would you say something awful like that? Shino looks at Shikamaru, who finally says, then why would you ask Temari for a date? I'm going to ask her for you, you dummy, since it's too troublesome for you to ask her out yourself. Naruto replies as if it is the most obvious answer in the world. I don't care how you denied it that day when I came back from my 3-year trip with Ero Sennin, you guys definitely looked like a couple. Thinking the misunderstanding is cleared, and that there shouldn't have been one in the first place, Naruto resumes journeying toward Iron Country. You guys coming? Shino looks at Naruto, then Shikamaru. He pauses for a moment, as if staring. Then, he turns to continue the journey, following Naruto. Shikamaru's eyes twitch again. This time because he believes Shino has just a smirk hid behind his raised collars when staring at him. XXXXXX. They travel the rest of the journey on foot and soon entered the Wood Country, which is a small wooded country that they had to go through before reaching Iron. Naruto. The insect expert whispers as he uses his hand to adjust his shades and conceal his moving lips. 2 of his bugs can be seen returning into his sleeve from their surveillance. I know, Shino, Naruto whispers back but continues to travel as if nothing is happening. Shikamaru puts on his game face as he heightens his awareness for his surroundings. Even though he is the only one who hasn't detected the enemies yet, he is already plotting out how to counter the possible scenarios. Then, without any prelude, those in hiding come out attacking. Shikamaru starts his hand seals while his mind tabulates, 10? 15? Shikamaru plugs in the variables into his mind and then shakes his head. No, at least 20. So, I'll use 25 to be safe. And, as soon as he finishes his hand seals for Kage Nui, his mind has already finished its calculations, and he is ready to pierce through the attackers with his shadow tentacles. Shino, too, is prepared to fend off the attackers. He has his arms stretched, deploying a cloud mass of swarming insects. Stop! Naruto shouts, and surprisingly everyone including the wood nins stop to hear what Naruto has to say. Naruto isn't worried at all about their odds against the larger numbered opponents, but rather, he's more worried about the attackers dying unnecessarily. Naruto implores, we come in peace. We are on our way to Iron Country and don't want any trouble. If you let us pass, we will be on our way and out of Wood Country in no time. Peace is short-lived, as one of the older ninja and evident leader yells, you Konoha scum and your talks of peace. We won't fall for that again. But you 3 are all too young to be caught up in the bloodbath of old, so just give up Danzo and no harm will come to you. Danzo? I'm afraid that's not possible. Shino, who is the closest to the captain of the Wood Nins, tries to explain to them Danzo's fate, you see. But all of the wood nins stop listening when they hear the words, "Not possible," and one of them cries out, "Enough, Dokutsu. Let's fight first, talk later." That was all the reason they need to ignite the bloodlust they have for the Konoha nins. Never mind that their leader hasn't given the order yet. Wood Country isn't one of the 5 elemental powers, and their lacklusterly trained attackers make the point obvious. No. Naruto has a look of horror on his face as he sees kunais thrown from both sides and images of death flash before his mind. Shino and Shikamaru are as skilled Naruto has read in the mission logs. Blood sprays everywhere Shikamaru's cage Nui tentacles pierce, mostly done with a merciful end directly to the heart. Shino's victims are less fortunate as they suffer seizures from insect paralysis. 2 wood nins, 4, then 7. All down before Naruto finishes his shout. Naruto does the only thing he knows to do. Making a bunch of cage bunchins and doing a mass-scale kawarimi. 15 wood nins are teleported to the safety of the tree branches. Each has Naruto bunchin pressing a kunai on his neck. Instead, the Naruto bunchins that replaced them become victims of Shino and Shikamaru's attacks. Poof after poof the clones dissipate, and all within mere seconds. Shino and Shikamaru have puzzled looks on their faces. The wood nins, equally as well. That's enough, guys. The real Naruto orders his subordinates as memories of death from his dissipating clones return to him. From now on, please follow my lead. If there's going to be a fight, I'll be the one to start it. Hi. Shino and Shikamaru submit. Who are you, young one? Dokutsu asks the clone holding him hostage. My name is Naruto, and I'm the Rokudame Hokage, the real Naruto explains. As my friend Shino was trying to explain earlier before he was interrupted, Naruto stares at the wood nin that charged first without his leader's approval. Danzo is no longer alive, and that's why it's not possible for you to see him. What? How's that possible? Another wood nin asks. Naruto-sama. Shino returns to addressing Naruto with honorifics in the presence of these foreign ninja. It seems that they are seeking revenge against Danzo. Who are you guys, and what had he done to you? Naruto asks Dokutsu. We are the remaining members of the Hanya clan in this Hayashi no Kuni. We are skilled in assassination techniques. A little over a decade ago, that bastard promised us a peace treaty with Konoha, that as long as we pay our tariff, Konoha would offer country her protection and our young training to be ninja. He promised that after 3 years of service to Konoha, our children would be returned to us to serve and help build our own hidden village, Dokutsu explains. Instead, he brainwashed our children and stripped them of their emotions. Many died, and he turned the few who survived into his own zombie army. I see, Naruto nods sadly. There is no official record of this, at least nothing in the Hokage archives. But after Danzo's death, we were able to get all of his former foot soldiers to recount their old missions from Danzo, and maybe someone remembered what happened to the children from this country. Hokage-sama, Shikamaru interrupts. That's putting a lot of faith in people's memories and assuming that those involved are still alive. Oh, yeah, you're right, Shika. Naruto smiles while rubbing the back of his head. He then turns to the wood nin leader. So, no promises, but you're certainly welcome to see me in Konoha, say in 2 weeks, and if there's anything pertinent to the people of the wood, I won't withhold that information from you. The wood nins seem satisfied with Naruto's offer. A few are quite surprised by how genuine and open the young Hokage is. Most, however, believes upholding such ideals will eventually lead Konoha to her demise. Before the matter is concluded, the Nara genius asks Naruto's permission to address some legalities with the wood nins. First, the Hokage-sama's offer to help is by no means an admission of guilt on his part or on behalf of Konoha. Shikamaru begins. Fine, Dokutsu replies. Good. Shikamaru then continues, since Danzo was acting on his own without the Hokage's knowledge or permission, you are not to hold his sins against Konoha. And, in turn, Konoha will act in good faith to rectify the mistakes made by one of its wayward citizens. Agreed. What Konoha is offering them is more than what they can expect. The light at the end of the tunnel of heartbreak, anger, disappointment, and hatred is finally visible. XXXXXX. As Team Hawk travels on, following Zetsu's lead, Karen identifies something in the distance. Sasuke-kun, I'm sensing a ton of strong chakra levels from that direction, Kane says while pointing her finger there. Looks like Zetsu is not playing tricks so far. How are you able to discern that he's not playing tricks merely from a large gathering of strong chakras? I bet you just want to show off to Sasuke. Suigetsu argues, which causes Karen to feel like she is losing face in front of Sasuke. Suigetsu, you bastard. Shut up you two, Sasuke orders after seeing the Zetsu in front of them coming to a sudden stop. Then, Team Hawk waits while Suigetsu melts into water and spies on the group of Sumari ahead of them. It looks like tight defense, as it would be expected of a gathering of this magnitude, Suigetsu reports. Jugo, Sasuke turns to the last team member, use the animals to probe the security for a weakness. Jugo nods and raises his hands into the sky. A few minutes later, a gliding owl gracefully landed on Jugo's shoulder. So? Sasuke asks. Jugo closes his eyes and mentally links to the owl. He then replies, there's a route from the west that's not well guarded. We're going in now, Sasuke commands. Karen, keep an eye on the guards and their chakra. Zetsu, Sasuke addresses the white half of the plant variant that led them there. I need you to tell me which one's Danzo. I'll lead you to where the cages gather together to meet, and then I have my own duties I must perform here. That's not good enough, Sasuke states indignantly. I don't want to mistake someone else for him. Easy enough, Zetsu answers. All you have to do is look for the one wearing the hat with the fire kanji, and surely your Sharingan will be able to detect a genjutsu apart from the real one, right? You better not lie to us, Karen warns. I'm a chakra sensing type, and I can tell when people lie. Heh, can you really? Zetsu mocks. That's good to know. He's not exactly people, now, is he? XXXXXX. Upon entering the Iron Country, the Konoha trio are greeted by snow. Shino and Shikamaru flip on the hoods attached to their weatherproof cloaks, while Naruto puts on his Hokage hat that complements his regal Yondaime look-alike white cage robe with vibrant flame fringes. Hi, can you direct me to a bed and breakfast around here? Naruto asks the first local they meet in the Iron Country. Are you here for the summit? The middle-aged man asks. The summit isn't classified here. It actually provides boon to the local business that opens shop to the visitors. Naruto confirms, and the villager directs him to the road ahead. Follow the path to town. It'll lead you to Blacksmith Inn, which is a block away from the fortress of Mifune, the place where you'll have that meeting. You can't miss it. Thank you. Naruto and company follow the path as they have been directed. The villager calls out after them, adding, there was already a group ahead of you. Of course, it's not a race, but he doesn't know any different. The first bunch got there nearly 5 minutes ago and, coincidentally, asked him the same question. Oh, really? Naruto and his attendants halt their steps. Who? Too excited to remember that the chances a common villager identifying these foreign dignitaries is rare. I mean, what did they look like? Their leader was a young man. Your age, I think. Red hair. A gourd strapped to his back. Oh, that's Gaara. Naruto calls out, glad that he'll get a chance to see his friend again. The Iron Commoner sees that the group has been identified and reasons that his services are no longer needed. He is just about to walk away. Excuse me, sir, can you tell me about his two companions? Shikamaru asks a little too eagerly. He then quickly schools his features back to indifference once he realizes his slip. Too bad Shino has already noticed it and almost let out an audible snicker. One was a makeup-wearing young man. I'm guessing this Gaara guy's older brother. The other one, whistling, a gorgeous sandy blonde that carried a fan, maybe two, behind her. The villager then stares blankly into the distance and adds, if she wasn't carrying stuff on her back, I could have gotten a clear view of her. Shikamaru doesn't like where the conversation is going and emits a brunt killing intent that makes the villager stop his rambling and wet his pants. Shika, that's enough, Naruto says as he places a hand on his friend's shoulder. He didn't know. What's there to know, Hokage? Shino feigns ignorance. All right, I'll admit that bothered me a bit, Shikamaru declares in defeat. Now, can we get going, please? The villager breathes a sigh of relief seeing this, Shika, character leaving his sight. Just when he is about to leave the area, another group shows up. Excuse me, asks a shy young man with a sword strapped to his back. See, can you show us a place to rest up? If it's not much trouble, please? Are you here for the summit too? The man asks, slightly annoyed. This makes his third time acting as guide. A woman with red lengthy hair steps up and confirms, that's right. Seeing a beauty like her improves his mood a bit. This one is even more beautiful than that fan-carrying blonde, and she's just my age too. By just his age, the villager means someone 15 years his junior. Well? The female repeats after enduring few minutes of his silent, absent stares. I'm sorry for being in a daze just now. The inn you seek is that way, the man finally voices while absent-mindedly pointing toward the town. He then clears his throat and straightens his attire a bit. It's just that I didn't think I would ever meet someone of your beauty while I'm still an eligible bachelor. Would do me the honors, if you don't have any prior engagements this evening? Eligible? Engagements? A dark cloud gathers above Mizukage's head. Needless to say, the villager involuntarily empties his bladder again. After leaving the pervert to soak in his filth and embarrassment, the mist nins arrive at the blacksmith inn in time to catch Konoha and Suna representatives interacting with each other. Mizukage whispers to Ao that Suna redhead is Gaara the Godem Case Cage, former Jinchuriki of the One Tail, and those two, his siblings, right? Ao nods to confirm. But, who's that blonde from Konoha? The Godem Mizukage asks as she eyes the young man appreciatively. He's definitely not Danzo. Do you think the old Warhawk would have sent someone else to represent Konoha? The summit invitation specifically says, cage attendance is mandatory. That has Ao puzzled as well. He too is busy looking at Naruto, but for an entirely different reason. I'm not sure, Mizukage-sama. Chojuru suggests, perhaps. Maybe we should make our presence known. Grow some backbone, boy. You're a swordsman of the mist, for Kami's sake, Ao chides. Oh Asu. Hush, you too. Our presence is already known, Mizukage says, then she calls out, they're just pretending not to notice, right Case Cage Dono? On that cue, Naruto and Gaara stop their chit-chat and turn to smile at the mist representatives. Hi, Mizukage Dono. If it's any consolation, Naruto offers his foxy smile. I didn't know about you guys are from the mist until just now. Haha, the beautiful redhead laughs very femininely with a hand covering her mouth. What a considerate and a charming thing to say. Leaving Naruto weirded out, she then seductively walks to them, accenting her curves and assets while flirting at Naruto with her eyes. She extends her hand and greets, I Mei. Terumi Mei. Mei Dono, I'm Namikaze Naruto the Rokudame Hokage. The blonde returns her handshake. Rokudame? Isn't it Danzo? Mei asks, wanting to find out more about this handsome young man, but someone else steals Naruto's attention from her. Namikaze. Gaara looks at Naruto puzzled. Oh, yeah, Naruto laughs sheepishly. Sorry, I haven't told you yet. I'm the son of the Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato. Uzumaki is my mom's maiden name. Really, so your dad sealed a biju in you just like ours did to Gaara? Kankuro asks in disgust. Hey, my dad was nothing like your dad. Naruto counters indignantly. He did it out of love and duty for the village. What love and duty, Naruto? You must be more messed up in the head than Gaara was to believe that nonsense. Temari drags Shikamaru by the hand as she joins the conversation. She can almost swear to hearing some mumblings of troublesome. Kyuubi attacked Konoha, so if dad didn't seal Kyuubi in me, everyone would have been wiped out, including Me, who was just a helpless infant. Naruto can't believe something so simple that even he understands isn't the most obvious conclusion in the world. So, yeah, I hated having the furball in me, but I'd rather be alive than dead. I guess if you put it that way, it is different than what happened to Gaara, the puppet master concedes. Naruto-sama, Shino cautions, is it wise to be talking about our village secret so openly in front of others? His comment causes both Suna and Konoha representatives to stop whatever they are saying and doing. Everyone then awkwardly and silently looks at the mist representatives. Oh, don't mind me. The Mizukage waves it off, trying to sound unaffected. She then motions her attendants to the check-in counter. Guy, you've hurt her feelings, says Naruto. Temari smacks his head and asks, how can you be so insightful when it comes to others, but completely clueless when it comes to Hinata and Sakura? Hinata and Sakura? Naruto echoes, confused. Wait, you guys know about Hinata and Sakura? Shikamaru asks in disbelief. Doesn't everybody? Kankuro replies with a shrug. XXXXXX. The mist representatives enter their room. The size of it actually qualifies it as a suite. 3 bedrooms, a sitting area, a living room, a kitchen, and a dining hall. Mizukage's mood is slightly depressed, but tries not to show it. Chojuru is fascinated by the awesome rooming, and Ao views it as typical for cage gathers. Chojuru let out a grunt as he loosens his heavy luggage from his back. Chojuru, your sword Haramekure, must have been heavy, the Mizukage observes. Are you all right? The youngest of the 7 swordsmen reports, oh, yeah. I feel a little feverish, though it's probably no big. With the speed befitting of a cage, the femme fatale invades his personal space, grabs him by the back of his neck and presses their foreheads together, while activating a diagnostic jutsu unique to her bloodline. Let me see, she says with a smile. It isn't her usual carefree smile, but beautiful nonetheless. The young swordsman blushes while thinking how seductive his cage sounds and how close her lips are. Her luscious, enticing lips. The intoxicating scent of her heated breath. Then, his eyes can't help themselves as they trace the curves of her lips to the soft elegance of her chin. Her neck. The mesh borders of her blouse. Her heavenly. You're too easy on Chojuru. Ao unknowingly interrupts the young pervert's eye feast. Kids these days are so spoiled. How could you get a fever from a little walk like that? In my day. Ao, Mizukage chides, somewhat peeved that she was interrupted like that. We aren't under the reign of the Yondaime Mizukage anymore, when we were called the Bloody Mist Village. So, stop talking about the old days. Sorry, Ao tries to explain why he was so upset with the youngster, but he himself has a hard time understanding why either. Enough of this. Terumi Mei, the Mizukage, states. Let's get something to eat. Ao then questions Chojuru about the dining arrangements, which Mei misunderstands his mumbled accent for engagements. Why does he always comment about my failure in romance? Mei fumes. Once Chojuru leaves to buy food, she warns Ao, shut up, or I'll kill you. Again, just like before leaving the village, Ao is puzzled by why she targeted him. Then a realization dawns on him. He offers, perhaps we'll get to see that Naruto again. A dark cloud forms above Mizukage. You really want to die today, don't you? XXXXXX. Elsewhere Tsuchikage and his attendants are resting in a bordering country. Tsuchikage is the type that doesn't like to socialize with other villages, so he prefers not to accept Mifune's invitation to stay at the inn prepared for the guests of the summit. What is the Iron Country like, Gramps? Asks Akatsuchi, the big-boned juggernaut. It's a small country formed from 3 mountains called the 3 Wolves, answers the aged arthritis sufferer. It is a land without ninja. It isn't big enough to support a hidden village. However, the people are peace-loving and have little need for a militia. In the past 3 ninja wars, they've remained neutral throughout. But they must have some law-enforcing system in place, right? The other attendant asks. His cage explains, yes, it has a strong military of samurai. They'll be providing the security during this summit. They'll meet everyone else at the summit tomorrow. XXXXXX. Reikage continues his journey and then stops to meet Samui's team. They are very near the border for Iron Country. One of the attendants, she, was hoping that they would have gotten here earlier, perhaps beating the other countries to the summit. Sure, this isn't a contest, but people from their villages have their pride, after all. In the Cloud Nin's case, crashing through walls and windows might have sounded faster to the attendants who chose to follow his path of destruction. But calming the protests of villagers and filling out paperwork took more than enough time to nullify the little gain traveling a direct path brought them. So how did the trip to Konoha go? Reikage asks Samui. Reikage-sama, the female Junin reports. The Akatsuki got to them too, looking for their Jinchuriki, the 9 tails. In fact, their whole village was leveled by this Pain character, someone who was in charge of the Akatsuki. And then their Kyuubi host, someone named Naruto, defeated Pain and became their next Hokage. I don't care about that. Reikage is getting impatient as his hot temper flares. Of course he wants to hear about the latest update, but he was more concerned about his brother and whether they would help. Samui isn't made Junin yesterday, so she has worked under the Reikage long enough to know that other information about Konoha is secondary to the matter concerning his brother, the captured, and hopefully still alive, Jinchuriki of the 8 tails. This Naruto gave us everything they had on the Akatsuki, but he said that he would give you his decision in person at the summit. Samui quickly adds, you should know, Reikage-sama, he used to be a teammate of Sasuke and perhaps still consider the traitor his teammate. I see. Sasuke's teammate, huh? That would mean he's just a youngin'. How is he able to become the Hokage? Samui can tell that her cage is finally ready to hear what they've gathered about Konoha, so she and her team relate everything they've learned while they find an inn to rest up. A Konoha ridden with Conspirari and a Jinchuriki who gained the backing of his whole village? How interesting. Reikage ponders out loud. We better keep an eye on this one. 4 out of 5 cages and their attendants are currently seated in the meeting room. Their host Mifune, the leader of Iron Country, entertains them as they wait for the Iwa to arrive. That old fart Oanoki is so backward. Maybe our meeting will go smoother without him here. The Yondaime Reikage suggests. Old fart Oanoki? The Tsuchikage? Naruto whispers to Shino and Shikamaru, hoping that either of them paid attention in the history lessons of the academy. While it's true that he has read the past mission dealings of the previous Hokages, those mission statements don't give the names of the village leaders, often simply referring to them by title. Naruto guesses Oanoki is perhaps the Tsuchikage since the Earth Shadow is the only one missing. Hi, whispers Shikamaru, who is standing to his right, he is the Sandaime Tsuchikage. He was in power when your dad single-handedly defeated his whole army during the Third Great Ninja War. I wonder how he'll react to me, Naruto whispers more or less to himself. Logically hostile, comments Shino, who is standing to Naruto's left. He might even openly attack you. I think we better be prepared. No, Naruto raises his right hand. I want you two to stand down if that were to happen. I don't want our actions to be misconstrued as an act of war. Even if he was to attack first? Shino mouths. Don't worry, I'm not entirely defenseless, Naruto asserts. Plus the other cages will intervene if it gets out of hand. I think Naruto is correct, Shikamaru explains. We are still recovering from pain and we can't really afford a war right now. If we go to war, we'll potentially have Kumo and Iwid to deal with. The only one we have an alliance with is Gaara. Meidono might side with us, but then it's a maybe. Oh, right, she is quite taken by our cage, isn't she? Shino whispers back. Naruto knows that Shino is more or less stating a fact, but he is glad that someone changes the subject. While we're waiting for Tsuchikage Dono, why don't I begin by explaining the reason behind this meeting? Mifune declares as he grabs everyone's attention. As your intel may already revealed, Reikage Dono's brother was recently attacked by an international group of powerful missing nins who call themselves the Akatsuki. They've been on a rampage hunting the tailed beasts, and Dono's brother killer B the Jinchuriki of the Hachibi is their latest victim. He called this meeting to discuss what course of action we should take. Gaara offers to start the discussion. I was once a Jinchuriki, having had the one-tailed sealed in me by my father the Yondaime cage. The Akatsuki. Then, the meeting is interrupted by someone loudly barging through the doors. What is the meaning of this, Mifune Dono? Oanoki asks. You guys started without me? Shut up, you old fart, yells back. It's your fault that you're late. Why you brainless brute, Tsuchikage banters back. Since it was you who called forth the meeting, I knew that if I show up a little late, I'm not going to miss anything important anyway. The Reikage jumps up and grabs his chair and throws it into the corner. You must get tired of living out your old age. Whoa, calm down boys, Mei entreats the two hotheads. If you boys want to see whose is longer, you can pull down your pants outside and leave us grown-ups here talking about big people stuff. Konkuru and Chojuru openly snicker. The former receives a fan smack from Tamari, and the latter, an elbow from Ao. Everyone else tries his or her best to stuff their laughter. Tsuchikage and Reikage have the grace to blush. Tsuchikage isn't willing to back down quietly, however. He pretends to say it to himself, but he does so loud enough for everyone else to hear. Yes, mother. Oanoki is hoping to elicit some laughter to get back at the female cage, but he notices everyone getting all quiet suddenly. Then he feels a chill working up his spine. He turns to see dark clouds forming above Mizukage's head. Mifune clears his throat and calms everyone down. He then motions Gaara to take the floor again. Cage Dono was helping us get started. Thank you Mifune Dono, Gaara resumes his introduction. Like I said, I was once the Jinchuriki of the Ichibi, until Akatsuki came attacking our village to get me. They wanted the Biju inside me and used a special extraction jutsu that was evidently very chakra consuming. All the members had to cast the jutsu at the same time and the hosts die after the extraction. Oh, Gara Dono, the female Kage voices, concerned. How are you alive then? Mei Dono, I almost died because of Akatsuki, if it wasn't for Naruto and Konoha here. Gara explains as he nods toward the fire representatives. He continues, we the sand asked for help against Akatsuki but only the leaf responded, which is why. Tsuchikage interrupts and mocks. Losing one's Jinchuriki is an embarrassment best not shared with other countries. The young generation, I tell you. Gara retorts, that's old-fashioned thinking. Tsuchikage holds his chin high as he snaps his head elsewhere, consequently landing his eyesight on the leaf representatives, more specifically, the Hokage. Mizukage comments, losing the Biju isn't the end, as it takes time to control them. And besides, in a disruptive fashion, Oanoki stands up and aims his finger at Naruto. Who are you? Have I seen you before? Naruto points to the kanji on his hat as if it is the most obvious thing in the world and replies, I'm the Rokudame Hokage. The Godem is recovering from injuries caused by the Akatsuki invading our land. Their leader Pain attacked Konoha in search of me. I'm the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. The Tsuchikage says, so you're the kid that the despicable yellow flash sealed Kyuubi into. But there's something else, you look familiar. He taps his chin and sits down. Damn, these joints. Just when Mei is about to resume making her points, the old man Oanoki gets on his feet again, this time not with the same pep. His finger flies out, pointing at Naruto while shouting, what is your name, boy? Naruto. Namikaze Naruto, the blonde teen replies. Namikaze, huh? That name sounds familiar. The old man sits down again. I feel like I should know that name. Kuritsuchi, his kunoichi attendant says, that's because he's the… Oh shut it, don't tell me, Tsuchikage orders, I'm not that old yet. I'll remember it eventually. Naruto and his attendants breathe a sigh of relief, but then become fully alert just as quickly when the old Kage furrows his eyebrows and points at Naruto again. I tell you, standards for Kage have become lower and lower. You and that redhead brat are so young. No manners, I tell you. Naruto and gang tune out the rest of the old man's bantering, relieved. We're all equals here, Oanoki Dono, Mifune asserts. He then urges the female Kage to continue. A furious Raikage smashes the conference table shared by everyone. I had enough of this useless talk. The attendants of the other Kage move in to defend their leaders. Kankuru readies his puppets, while Tamari draws out her battle fan. Chojuru pulls out his sword, while Ao prepares some hand seals. Kuritsuchi pulls out two katanas, while Akatsuchi pounds his fists. Shino and Shikamaru are ready to do their thing, but Naruto's hands on their shoulders stop them. Stop, all of you, Mifune shouts out while his own Sumari enter the room. After much staring, the Kages call off their attendants. XXXXXX. Zetsu and Team Hawk gather outside the iron compound where the summit conducts. They are infiltrating through one of the least guarded section of the summit. The meeting is in session. If we go straight through, we'll find the conference hall. Inside, we'll find Danzo, Zetsu explains. You better not play tricks, Sasuke warns. Don't worry. Danzo is no friend of ours, Zetsu informs. XXXXXX. Look, you all made Akatsuki what they are today. A accuses. You dumb brute better explain quickly, or I'll have to. Oanoki rebuts. The Raikage continues, the Akatsuki is composed of ninja from your villages. The other Kages become silent. Looking at the Tsuchikage, the Lightning Fist Master states, I also know some in this room have used Akatsuki. What? Ask Gara and Naruto. You both are too young to know any of this, Tsuchikage explains, but think of why a group like them thrives. The benefits of using a mercenary group who wouldn't drain the village resources. Raikage looks at Gara and says, enough. Sand used Orochimaru, who may or may not have still been with the group, and they lost the third Hokage and Gaara's father the fourth Case Cage because of it. Gaara is silent. Eyeing Naruto, A states, Danzo probably had something to do with that, but it matters not now. Naruto admits, apparently he was behind a lot of stuff that we're trying to rectify. A looks at the female redhead and continues, furthermore Mist is also involved, as there are rumors Akatsuki started there. Mizukage is silent but then offers, yes, there are suspicions that the fourth Mizukage was being controlled by some third party, but they are just suspicions. Tsuchikage tells Raikage to calm down and shifts the blame back to him. The whole reason countries used Akatsuki was because Kumo continued to build strength during peacetime. Having 2 Jinchurikis and all. HMPH. A crosses his arms like a spoiled adult. You're just jealous. Naruto gets up and shouts at A's in Oanoki's corner, "You old goats, joking about people's lives like that. How dare you to talk about using Jinchuriki as weapons? Don't you know the hard lives we Jinchurikis carry? My dad made me a Jinchuriki because he had no choice. He had to save the village from Kyuubi's rampage, and if he didn't seal that furball away, everyone including me would have died. But what about you, huh? You went after these Biju just like the Akatsuki, hunting them and sealing them away to use as weapons. What about the people you used as human sacrifices? All this war and power struggle. Look at where it led us to. A group that was born out of the same desires to control the Biju, the Akatsuki. Ha, Gaki Dono. Max Tsuchikage. You and your ideals, weapons and choices? Nonsense. Every ninja is weapon, and their choices are life or death. What do you want, then? Utopia? What do you suggest we do, Naruto Dono? Even the Mizukage laughs at something so foreign to her shinobi core, though her laughter is much more pleasant to the ears. Look, Naruto evangelizes passionately. Even if we stop this group, the desire for power and the fuel of hatred and revenge will give rise to another group like it, if not worse. Akatsuki is not the problem. Oh, no you don't. A stands up and animatedly shouts, you just want to save your friend Sasuke. He is Akatsuki now, a criminal and a missing nin deserving of death that Konoha should have dealt him. If you continue to defend him, you'll risk war with all of us. No, this is not about Sasuke. Naruto denies while demonstratively waving the notion away with his arms. This is bigger than that rogue teammate of mine. This is about looking underneath the underneath. This is about dealing with the underlying issue, hatred and distrust. Okay, you want to talk about trust? A shouts back. Then how about you answer Kumo's question, then? What does Konoha plan to do about Sasuke? About what he's done to my brother? Keep in mind, Naruto Dono, because Konoha hadn't declared Sasuke a missing nin when he attacked Kumo and kidnapped Killer B. We can hold Konoha accountable because technically Sasuke was a shinobi of the leaf. Shit, Shikamaru whispers into Naruto's ear. He's right, they have every right to declare war on us if they want. A lot of emotions flood Naruto at that moment. First, he can't understand Sasuke at all. He got his revenge against his brother, right? So why didn't he come back? Has revenge overtaken him? Then, there's Konoha going to war. Is that too high a cost to go after his friend Sasuke? Sure, Naruto is willing to go the distance to rescue his former teammate from his darkness, but like he declared to Shino and Shikamaru yesterday, he will do so only if Sasuke wants to be rescued and only if doing so does not compromise the safety of Konoha and her ninja. Naruto recalls Gaara's words during their private meeting from last night at the blacksmith inn. Naruto, you must anticipate that the majority of the cages at the summit tomorrow will agree to for an alliance to fight Akatsuki and by extension, Sasuke, Gaara reasoned. And if you won't go along with that decision, Konoha will become common enemy of the 4 other elemental nations. But, Gaara continued, ultimately, from here on out, we can expect war. War? Naruto echoed in shock. Most likely, Gaara nodded and then added, if Sasuke sides with Akatsuki, that means he'll go after the Kyuubi inside you. If that happens, I will do everything to protect you, and I will show him no mercy. Naruto listened in silence. Gaara elaborated, Sasuke had long closed his eyes to everything but darkness. He doesn't see you or anyone else. He longs only to remain in the darkness of hatred. If you want to prove worthy to bear the title of Kage just like how the villagers agreed you are, then do what you must to end that miserable and destructive existence of his. You must end it for him as his friend. Yes, Sasuke is my friend, that's why. Naruto started to say but had trouble wondering how to continue. I think of you as a friend. Gaara's admission shocked Naruto. Gaara continues, I used to think friend is just another word, nothing more, nothing less. But when I met you, I realized that what was important was the word's meaning. Think about its meaning. And about what you're trying to do for Sasuke. Naruto blinks a few times to reconnect with reality of the present time. He then looks at Gaara, who nods back to encourage him. Finally he looks at Raikage, his mind made up. To Raikage who awaits a response, Naruto replies, I promised your Junin my reply at the summit. Yes, I will help you hunt down and punish Sasuke. But I ask for one concession. That you give me one last chance to convince him to give himself up. Raikage declares, the history of life has been a history of war, only the strong survive. Akatsuki are criminals, and if Sasuke is with them, the whole world will be after him as well. Begging for mercy for criminals for the sake of friends is not friendship. Think things over, as the world has no place for such fools. Shino speaks up in support of Naruto. Konoha stood by and accepted Hyuga Hazashi's death when they didn't have to, so Kumo still exists today due to Konoha's good graces. Naruto-sama seeks only a peaceful resolution. A sighs and states, I admire that you are willing to stick to your ideals. Ultimately, I believe following the ideals of peace and friendship will truly make the world a better place. But I and no doubt everyone here, along with our long-time submersion in the cruel reality that is ninja, can't help but label you foolish. Still, if it works. The Raikage sighs again and shakes his head before finally saying, if you get to him and convinces him to surrender himself before I get my hands on him, and if my brother is still alive like you've so optimistically told Samui, then I'll let you deal with him however you see fit and promise no further retribution against him or Konoha. But if I get to him first, or if he won't listen to you, then I'll show no mercy. Thank you. Naruto nods. Kumo's conditions are very reasonable. In fact, it's probably as good as anyone can get them. Meanwhile, Shikamaru and Shino look at each other behind the scenes, shocked beyond belief at another display of Naruto's wonderment. His ability to make people believe him. This prospect of peace. Perhaps the old sage toad in Mount Myoboku knew what he was talking about, after all. XXXXXX. Inside the summit building, Team Hawk notices the white half Zetsu's sudden absence. Shit, Suigetsu curses. Where did that walking plant go? Karen? Sasuke asks the censor Nin. Karen closes her eyes and holds a hand seal, concentrating. When she opens her eyes, she points down one of the two lengthy hallways and says, that way. Outside the compound, the other half, the dark Zetsu confers with Tobi. Do you think it's time? Yes, Madara replies. Just make sure Sasuke and his team doesn't see your other half taunting the cages. Hey, don't worry, they won't. Zetsu laughs sinisterly as he mentally sends this confirmation to his white half inside the compound. XXXXXX. In Konoha, the rebuilding work is progressing nicely. So far, the hospital and Anbu headquarters are functional. There are still things to do to them, but fully functional nonetheless. The living quarters too are habitable, despite the many things still need to be done. Shizune tracks down Sakura at the hospital. Hey, Shizune. How is Tsunade Shisho doing? The young medic asks. Still the same. Replies the slightly older medic. Listen, we need to talk. Sure, in fact, I'm on my lunch. Together Sakura and Shizune with Taunton in her arms find a secluded corner in the cafeteria. The patient load isn't as heavy as before. Sakura starts to say, when are you coming back, senpai? I don't mind looking after Shisho for a change. I'm here to talk about you and Naruto, Sakura. Shizune gets to the point. Me and Naruto? Sakura echoes with a slight blush. What about? Do you realize what you are doing to that poor boy? Shizune asks sternly. Sakura breaks eye contact and looks away. I don't know what you're talking about. You do know that Naruto and Hinata are an item, right? The pig in her arms squeals to make its point as well. Maybe. You know it just as well as the rest of Konoha recognizes it. Especially what Hinata did for Naruto, and by extension the whole village. Shizune lectures. The question then becomes, why were you trying to get between them? I'm not okay? Sakura snaps in denial. I just needed someone to be by my side during this difficult time, alright? I mean, there's Akatsuki's attack and Shisho's coma, and then, Sasuke's new status as a criminal. New status? Shizune whispers to herself in disbelief. And there's Kumo accusing him of killing the Raikage's brother. Sakura continues, clueless to Shizune's implications. I just needed Naruto at the time. He's my teammate. We've been through thick and thin. I know him inside out, and he does me, at least I hope he does. Sakura, Naruto matured quite a bit since his trip with Jiraiya-sama. Shizune corrects, Naruto isn't the same baka that pranked the village for kicks. Naruto isn't the same compulsive kid that kissed the ground you walk on. But, she tries to protest. Listen, You're not a little child anymore, the older woman yells, you lost your chance with him. You need to let him go. At this point Sakura has tears swelled up in her eyes. Shizune softens her tone, he knows what you've done, and he prefers that you stop this yourself instead of having to confront you about it. If you value his friendship with you, you need to let him and Hinata have their chance. The dark-hair medic puts down her companion pet, which causes it to squeal in protest, and walks around the table to embrace her sobbing pink-hair friend. She then comforts, who knows what will happen in the future, hey. But right now, you need to back off, or you'll lose him forever. The pink hair bobs up and down twice before starting to shake uncontrollably. I can't believe that I didn't take up his offer before. I can't believe that I'm feeling this way about that Bakawa. Shizune holds on and encourages her to cry it all out. XXXXXX. Back in Iron Country, the Cage Summit is suddenly interrupted. The white Zetsu rises from the floor before them. Foo, what a delicious collection of shinobi. That's Zetsu of the Akatsuki, Naruto points out, recalling reading about him in Kabuto's data book. In an instant, Reikage has Zetsu by his neck and vehemently demands, "Where's Sasuke?" "You'll regret it," offers an unfazed Zetsu, but before he can continue speaking, Reikage snaps his neck. "Good riddance, you bastard, Reikage HMPHS." Mizukage warns him not to kill again, as they can get information out of Sasuke, but Gaara explains that Akatsuki aren't the type to give up secrets. "Men," Mifune orders his samurai, "keep your eyes out for Sasuke." Hi. They file out to their pre-assigned stations. "Let's go." Reikage and Hokage simultaneously motion their attendants to follow and then bump into each other, annoyed. "Reikage Dono, allow me this one chance," Naruto insists. "Very well. This is your one and only shot," Reikage grants and then warns, "I won't get my hopes up if I were you." "Thank you, Reikage Dono." Naruto gives a small bow before poofing into smoke. A asks Naruto's attendants, "He made a clone and swapped it already? Where is he?" Shino looks to Shikamaru, who nods his consent, figuring having Reikage nearby when fighting Sasuke might not be a bad idea. Shino nods back and adjusts his shades. "Very well, follow me." The Aburame leads Shikamaru and Kumo running down the linear hallway before making a sharp corner turn and coming to an abrupt stop. "That's weird. What's wrong, Shino?" the Nara asks. "I don't understand." Shino shakes his head, his voice about as panicked as an Aburame gets. "He just disappeared. Or more accurately, the tracer bug I had on him simply blinked out of existence." "What are you talking about? You better not be jerking me, boy." An angry Reikage warns. "Sir," his chakra sensing attendant offers, "we don't need to depend on them. I can sense Sasuke's treacherous chakra not far from here." "Well, lead the way then." She leads Kumo, with Konoha following close behind, hoping that by finding Sasuke, they'll find Naruto as well. XXXXXX. Elsewhere in the fortress compound, Mifune's men make preparations to find Sasuke. Karen is suddenly alerted to their change in pattern and Jugo figures it was Zetsu. One samurai spots something suspicious and moves to attack, but it turns out to be an empty cloak pinned to a wall. He is quickly struck from behind. Above, the rest of Team Hawk hide. "That plant bastard, I swear I'll shred him into mulch," Suigetsu whispers his disapproval. He then looks at Karen. "I thought you were supposed to warn us when he lied." "Shut up," Karen grunts. "I must not be able to do it on him for some reason." Below, numerous samurai arrive to face Sasuke. The samurai charge chakra into their swords. "Come at your own risk," Sasuke warns. "I'm angry and won't go easy on you." They launch attacks which Sasuke easily deflects. "Karen, find Danzo," Jugo orders. "I can't." Karen explains, "I need to know his chakra signature first, and since Zetsu bolted on us before revealing who or where this Danzo is, I can't do what you ask now." "So, you're now more useless than usual," Suigetsu remarks while bearing his shark-like grin. Just when Karen is about to lash out on the swordsman, she is suddenly hit by a change in Sasuke's chakra. "What was that?" she muses. "What's happening to Sasuke's chakra? It's more powerful and stranger than when he was in his level 2 form." The samurai recognize Sasuke is not alone. One of them says, "We should split up. I bet the others are not as strong as Sasuke. Plus there's no sense in us all die here." The rest of them nod and split into several groups. Karen is disrupted from her thoughts again as she feels something large approaching. Suddenly the ceiling collapses downwards, sending rubble below. XXXXXX. Elsewhere, Reikage and his attendants, followed by Shino and Shikamaru, rush on with Shi, the chakra sensing type, and led. There's a lot of chakra disappearing below us, he reports to his cage. Looks like people are getting killed. Do you sense Naruto anywhere? A asks Shi, to which he shakes his head. Looks like I found him first. The Reikage levels a glance at Shino and Shikamaru. See to it that you are witness to this. He charges a Raiden fist and punches through the floor below him, causing it to collapse downward, sending rubble below. As the dust clears, a Raiden-enveloped Reikage warns the young Sasuke to fear his anger. Just then, they see Naruto appears out of thin air, standing in the middle between two opposing parties. XXXXXX. Flashback, 5 minutes before Shino's tracer bug disappeared. Hi, Naruto, the ninja behind an orange mask calls after the running blonde the second he whirled into existence. Madara. Naruto seethes as he alters his course to go after the architect behind Akatsuki, the hunting of Bijus, killing of many, twisting Nagato's ideal to serve his own evils, Itachi and potentially Sasuke's path toward hatred. Naruto's eyes now more angular and defined as he merges with natural chakra. He charges at the villain with a wind Rasengan blazing in his right hand. Then, Naruto, along with Madara, whirl out of existence. In Madara's time-space discontinuum, where the sky is a complete pitch-black void and the ground consists of white giant rectangular blocks protruding out irregularly. What is this? Where are we? Naruto asks the Akatsuki in front of him. This is a world within my Sharingan. But I shouldn't be affected by the Sharingan's genjutsu, Naruto catches himself from revealing that he has a special fuin drawn above his eyes to shield him from Sharingan's illusions. Interesting, notes Madara. However, this is not an illusion. You might as well know that one of my powers is the ability to manipulate time and space. This world we are in is very real, I assure you. So what do you want from me? Naruto asks as he takes his stance to fight, while the rest of his mind is trying to figure out how to get out of there. Don't be so tense. I just want to talk, Madara offers. Why did Nagato turn against me? What did you say to him? Why would that matter now? Naruto yells. Tell me, what do you plan to do with Sasuke? You probably told him bunch of lies to turn him against Konoha, didn't you? Just like how you manipulated Itachi to serve your needs. Itachi served his own interest, Madara defends. He probably joined Akatsuki to protect Konoha and his little brother. Then why Sasuke? If Itachi never served you, what made you think his little brother will? Sasuke is consumed in the world's hatred. I didn't have to tell him any lies. His hatred lent himself to me. The Uchiha are fated for revenge, and Sasuke took it all upon him to inflict the Uchiha's hatred upon the world. It's his weapon, friend, and strength. It's Sasuke's ninja way. Liar! Naruto shouts while punching one of the rectangular white blocks. His punch does it no damage. Then you don't know the real Sasuke. He's a true avenger, Madara calmly replies. Sasuke is carrying out what's in his heart. Vengeance for what Konoha did to the Uchiha and Itachi. Why? Naruto asks as he can no longer control his sadness inside his heart. Sadness for the suffering his former teammate must have gone through and is still enduring. Madara reveals, it was destiny, a curse passed through the generations, all because of the Rikudo Sennin. Rikudo preached peace but could never achieve it. He left his 2 sons with his power. He gave his elder son his eyes, which meant chakra and spiritual energy. To his younger son, his body, which symbolized willpower and physical energy. The elder son sought peace through power, whereas the younger through love. In the end, Rikudo chose the younger son as his successor, which angered the elder and caused the curse of hatred to begin. The feud continued through their descendants. The elder's descendants became the Uchiha, while those of the younger, the Senju. My battle with Shodai was fate, and I can see the Senju's will in you. I both admired and hated Shodai more than anyone else. The qualities of the Senju and Uchiha are still alive today in you and Sasuke. You are fated to be hated rivals. That's bullshit. Naruto yells back while charging at Madara again, only to have the older ninja melt into and re-emerge from another white block. You will have to fight Sasuke at some point, Madara continues to explain, or rather I'll make Sasuke fight you and prove the Uchiha's existence. Naruto yells, Sasuke isn't your toy. You won't be able to change Sasuke's mind like you did Nagato's. Madara counters. If you are so confident, then why don't you let me try? Naruto taunts. Haha, that's not going to work with me. Like I said, I just want to talk, but now that I'm done talking, you can have your shot at Sasuke. Don't say I didn't warn you. We will talk again. XXXXXX. And just like that, Naruto warps back into existence. Back in the Iron Compound, back in real time, minus Madara. This time however, he stands before his friend, his rival, his former teammate, and perhaps his fated opponent, Uchiha Sasuke. What are you doing here, Dobi? Where's Danzo? Sasuke asks. Danzo's dead. I'm the Rokudame Hokage.